All right, I just hit start on OBS, and I gotta wait for YouTube video to pop up. Okay, yeah, it says we're good on OBS. We're going. We're live.
Mhm. All right, we live. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on which part of the world you're in, and welcome to episode 8 of the upcoming Retro Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, the Video Game Votary. We're joined today with my lovely co-host. We had a birthday boy this past week. We'll start with him, Mr. BlakRanger.
What's up?
Good
What's up?
morning.
What's going on, you guys? What it do? What's the word, blurred, all that good stuff. Ready for another fun episode of your podcast. Let's get it in, you guys.
You're a year older. How you feeling? How was your
I'm
birthday?
tired, man. I'm already tired. I did absolutely nothing for my birthday. My wife went out of town, and
Mhm.
my in-laws took my baby. So I actually had a performing gig on the night of my birthday. Played my trumpet for the first time, and I don't even know how long, but that went pretty good. But other than that, I was chilling.
You're pretty good at playing trumpets. AkayGames, how you doing this morning?
I am doing pretty well, pretty rested. Had a fairly eventful weekend, so glad to be here talking about games like always.
All right, and our resident PS2 expert, Mr. RectWizard, love the shirt.
Yeah, thank you. I thought I'd make you feel good this podcast since I kind of was a little rough on you last weekend.
I
Uh,
appreciate that.
um, oh man, I'm tired. It was my daughter's fourth birthday yesterday,
Happy
and
birthday.
yeah, thank you, bro.
Happy
My house
birthday,
was a
man.
disaster. My 1 year old has 102-degree fever.
Oh,
That's why I was running late this morning because he had me up at like 5 in the morning, then 7 in the morning, and then I woke up and I'm just tired. So yeah, one kid's sick, one kid had a birthday, my house is trashed, and I got a long day ahead of me. But other than that, I'm ready to talk about video games.
all right, cool. Welcome in to everybody in the chat. And thank you for tuning in. So, as you guys can see from the title, today we are discussing console wars. So, the layout for this, we're going to discuss and we're probably going to do like a grading process, A, B, or C, just to kind of, I guess, give context of where we would rank each individual console within that time frame. And I have a chart. I'm looking at my phone to make sure. We're probably not. We're going to skip the first generation because I think that that's collectively agreed that was kind of before all of our times, like Atari and stuff like that. So I think it's
Yeah.
safe to say we should. It wouldn't be fair. We wouldn't have any type of anything valid to say, honestly, unless it's stuff we played. Now, actually, I guess technically, now correct me if I'm wrong. That is actually we would start on a third because according to this chart that I've seen, it looks pretty accurate. First generation was 72 to 80, starting with the Magnavox Odyssey, Pong, and Coleco Telstar. Then the second generation was 76 to that's well, I guess they saying how long it ran into 92. We know that's not right. The Fairchild Channel F, Atari 2600, and the Intellivision. So, according to this, I don't know what is quote unquote industry standard, but we'll start with the third generation. Sega Master System, Atari 7800, and Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, it doesn't look like they added handhelds. Maybe we should just leave those out because, I mean, technically it's not a handheld console, but we'll just leave those out. Welcome in Retro Card Collector. What's up, bro? So, all right. So, how we're going to do this is we got three consoles in this generation: Sega Master System, Atari 7600, 7800. I'm sorry, and the NES. We want what we're going to do. We're going to go around the panel. We're going to list them in order where you got to rank one, two, and three. One obviously being the highest, third being the lowest. So let's start with AK Games, Sega Master System, Atari 7800, NES, and where you would rank them and why.
Um, Sega NES. Honestly, I feel like I would rank Atari number one.
Now this is not Sega Genesis because I know you are a little younger than us. Just for clarification for you, I'm not.
Hmm.
If I'm just making sure you
Maybe
know.
You know what? Maybe come back to me because I don't know if I should be going first. Come back.
I just wanted to clear that up because I
Come
know
back
you're a
to
little
me.
bit younger. I'm not picking on you, but I
Yeah,
just
I've been
wanted to
fixing my
give
audio,
context.
so I'm kind of.
Oh yeah, no problem. Well, which one of you guys wants to start first? Well, you know what? Let's start. Let's put the fire out. Go ahead, start the fire. Maybe we could put it out.
You want to?
Just go solo. You're not even gonna announce it.
All right. My honest answer. Number 1 is NES. Number 2 is NES. And number 3 is NES. You know why? Because the Sega Master System and the Atari 7800 don't matter. Because they're garbage. Next.
Oh God, I knew it. Wait, first of all, before I get you off solo, where's your coffee?
Bro, I woke up late. I didn't have time to make no coffee.
Exit.
Dude, I'm about to go grab me a soda. French, give your answer. I'll be right back. I need some. I need sugar, man. I'm like dying right now.
All right, so far we got NES. We have no one else listed. It's the RectWizard, BlakRanger. What we got?
So for me, number 1, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Of course, that's my childhood system. It's still awesome to this day. I still have fun playing the NES. It's kind of a toss-up between the other two. Honestly, I don't own a Sega Master System. I played it growing up. My cousin had one. It was pretty cool. I still like the look of it. And I actually own a 7800, and it just looks cool. Like for the look of it alone, I'll judge the last two on looks. It's huge, pause, but the look of it, it looks like some type of spaceship or almost like PS3 kind of era. So I'd still go NES Master System 7800 for me.
Alrighty. So that's from BlakRanger. So you got NES, Master System, and then Atari. Did I get
Yes,
that
sir.
right? Okay. I like that. Sounds good.
How about you, sir?
Yeah, because obviously beyond me, AK must have stepped away for a second. So for me, I'm gonna go with obviously NES gonna be first. I don't think that is up for debate. Although some people, it depends on where you grew up and what you had. Sega Master System is gonna be number 2. I don't have a lot of experience with the 7800, but the Master System I didn't get until later. I don't have it anymore, but from what I played, I did enjoy it. It is really nice. It's slept on. I feel like actually, I think it's
Absolutely.
just one of the more underrated consoles, in my opinion. But I mean, obviously, NES is what saved the gaming industry.
Yeah.
I believe it set the standard, and for a lot of people, even if you aren't a avid collector or gamer like us in this group, everybody pretty much is familiar with the Nintendo, and it's fair to say, like in the age bracket that me and French are in, any video game system we had in the house was a Nintendo, according to our parents. They didn't care about the different age. Go play your Nintendo. Go get your Nintendo. Like, Mom, it's not a Nintendo. This is a PlayStation. Doesn't matter. It was Nintendo. That was kind of like I don't know if that was a every household thing. Let me know down in the chat. I'm curious. Like, I know how it was like in a black household. Everything was a Nintendo.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was just a black household thing or was that I think it was like everybody thing, kind of. You know what I'm saying? Because parents, they didn't care.
Like
We wanted
this old people
Yeah.
thing. Everything's a
Yeah.
Nintendo.
everything was a Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? So going back around, RectWizard, why didn't you decide to include anything else on your list? Obviously, we had other choices. We're supposed to rank all of them, but
Well,
what was your reasoning?
You know,
for that?
I've only played the Atari 7800 and the Sega Master System through emulation, and I just don't like the games, dude. And it's kind of hard for me because I had a Sega Genesis, and like there are certain games that were like on both consoles, kind of like how like there are games for PS4 and they put the same game on PS5, and like obviously the PS5 version's better, like, or it runs better, and right. So like with the Sega Master System, like I just remember playing like there's like 3 versions of like Altered Beast, right? There's like the Sega Master System version, the Genesis version, and then like the arcade version. And obviously the arcade version is going to be the best because it's an arcade machine. But I grew up playing the Genesis and playing Altered Beast on there, and I remember like on my modded Wii, I was like, oh, I want to check out the Master System. and I played a couple games, dude. I'm like, God, this thing sucks. Like, I just didn't like it. I'm like,
I
man,
don't know. I like the Master System, dude.
and the
It's pretty
boxes
cool.
are ugly. Can we just like all agree that like the box art on the Master System games, could you be any more boring? Like
Yeah,
it,
it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty plain.
they're bad, dude. Like like compare the Master System boxes to like even the Atari boxes or like the NES boxes are awesome. Right? Like it's no dude, they're ugly boxes. They're just white with like basic like stick figures on the front or something. Like they're just not good. I don't know.
One day,
They were great at making the actual plastic cases though, because
Well, yeah, but
those
see,
cardboard boxes. But outside of that, it's pretty plain.
but the
that's what I was getting ready to say. Like that's one thing that I wish Nintendo did was have like a case, because aesthetically in your game room and protecting your game wise, that is they definitely had that, and they had it out the gate. So I can appreciate them at least for that. But yes, the pretty much all the Master System box art all had that white background
yeah,
with like the little black squiggly lines. I don't have any more of my Master System games, but yeah, and I mean, honestly, it was extremely innovative at the time. They had their own light gun. They also had 3D glasses, like way back then, which is kind of insane. So, but that was Genesis. Like they were always overzealous, and they
so
probably
what you
did too
said
much.
you said the light gun for the Master System, was the light gun, was the justifier for the Genesis or for the Master System? I think it's
I
the
don't
Genesis, right?
know what. I would say yes, because I don't remember it being called that. I could be wrong. I didn't have it in the box. I bought like a bundle, and it came with it in there.
Yeah.
It was like nice and sleek looking, a little more sleeker than the NES one. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I never used it. I don't think I had a game that used it, but they did have quite to me, some good standout games on there, like the Tasmanian Devil game. It looks awesome on the Master System.
Yeah.
There was a couple games that was just pretty cool. So AK, are we good when you're in?
Hopefully.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Well, that's live. Do you want to skip this one, or
Yeah, let me get back in the conversation.
okay. All right, no problem. So we got
Yes,
Robert
sir.
Vergara in the comments. Excuse me if I said your name wrong, but he said 100% everything to my parents was Nintendo. Yeah, that's a fact. And then we got the 800 kid. He says Genesis was justified.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of thought so. Okay. Yeah. But what was your reasoning where you ranked them at BlakRanger?
Just because for me, I mean, of course, everything was Nintendo. There was no N in the beginning of it. Nintendo Entertainment System.
Some people
So
actually pronounce it like that to this day.
facts. So they bought it for my sisters, of course, and then I grew into it. So I played it the most. Everybody in the family had Nintendo, and like I said, my cousin had the Master System, so I got to play that over there. So that was fun, and I didn't have too much experience with the 7800 until now. Like when I started my YouTube, I had a battle buddy of mine from the army that actually gave me a crate out of his attic with his uh, both his Ataris. He didn't have the 50, what was it, 5400, 5600, no, 2600, 5200. He didn't have the 5200, but he gave me his 2600 and the 7800. So I had most of my experience with the 7800 recently. And like I said, just the look of it is cool. But I mean, gameplay, playing it now, can't really do too much with it. But it was aesthetically cool.
Okay. All right. And as for myself, um, I don't think I ever played the 7800. Like I may have played like something that was emulated, but I don't recall it. I don't recall it back then being a child. Like literally, like my origin was NES. Um, which obviously me being a Nintendo collector, but I was exposed to the Master System later on, probably like 6 years ago, and I did like it. I'll be honest with you. It wasn't something I collect for. Like maybe that'd be something that I would emulate, because regardless of me collecting Nintendo, I'm still a gamer, but I don't want to have those games like here. Like I'd rather mod my Genesis Mini or something like that, and just throw all the games on there and still have some time to play those. But I mean, from what I saw, it was pretty good. I actually had a pretty cool bundle that I sold. It had like the little joystick, the actual joystick controller, had the light gun, and I had like 2 controllers, so it was pretty good. And the controller layout was very similar to the NES. Um, it wasn't that bad. I just think that at the time, Nintendo was King Kong, kind of like now. And
Yeah.
Nintendo was just crushing everything. Like, it didn't even matter what you tried to do at the time. Like Mario and Nintendo was just out of this world good. A question in the chat from Knucklehead. Shout out to him. He's normally in the comments on the podcast, so appreciate your support. Says, who remembers the Sega Genesis activator? What is that? That sounds familiar. Let me look that up.
Right. I was about
Real
to say
quick,
I'm doing
bro.
the same thing. But and while we're looking that up, I was gonna say Atari was the one other good thing about outside of the regular look at the 7800, it did have 4 controller ports. So that was dope to have 4 controller ports on the system back then.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, the 7800 could play 2600 cartridges.
I believe so.
Now the 50,
Yeah, that sounds right.
The 50, I think it's 50,
the 5200 could
the
not.
5200. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Oh,
the
yeah.
so the activator is a full body motion controller.
that probably worked like crap, like
Right.
for
So,
the
from
8
what I'm
or
looking,
the 90s.
well, this would be that, yeah, like late 80s, early 90s.
I bet I would love to like watch French
Let me
put
see if
that
I can
on.
pull this up real quick. Make sure I get the right one.
It was the OG version of the Xbox. What was that?
Okay.
The Move.
So here we go. So this is on eBay.
Yeah.
So that that's insane. I what I'm guessing is the wires goes into the controller port, plug it into the system, and I'm guessing you stand in that. And I would willing to bet. So I'm guessing these are sensors.
Yeah, that looks like it would work so bad.
Yeah.
So these
You
obviously
need to pull up.
I wonder if you wear it.
It's
We might gotta
hilarious.
We might need to see a YouTube video of someone actually using this thing. Like,
Yeah.
like I want to see someone jump around that circle like an idiot and like just
Yeah,
like
put that picture back up. Let me put you on solo. Hold on.
That's the picture right there.
Okay.
That thing, I would love to see somebody really doing this. I might have to find.
Are they
one
like
now.
playing like
Yeah.
Streets of Rage with it or something?
It looks like it.
You look like you playing goddamn, what's that? Jesus, with the crane kick. That's what he looked like doing. Daniel's son. Jesus.
Karate Kid.
Even, like these were the ads for it, man. They were having a great time.
Yeah, that background looks like the Crossfire commercial.
Crossfire.
Oh man.
Crossfire.
That's like top 5 jingle songs of all time.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm telling you, like that was legit. I never played Crossfire. I need to like get that.
I got a box of Crossfire at a flea market or a yard sale for like $5, and I sold it to my buddy who has a game store and sells weird stuff.
Yeah.
I never played it. I never played it, but when I saw it at the freaking yard sale, like this older lady was selling a bunch of stuff, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I started singing the freaking jingle in front of my wife. I was like, "Babe, you don't remember Crossfire?" She's like, "No, I'm a girl. I didn't play with those things."
And you know what? I gotta find that guy's name, but he sung a lot of stuff in the 80s and 90s. Like, I wonder if it's the same guy that did the sitcoms, because he had like a really like strong, like kind of deep voice he was going to it. But like, trying to think, the guy that sung Family Matters, sung Full House, I think.
Oh,
like, that guy did all of them. It sounds like it's him. Somebody
could be.
Let me know if you find it. It might be him. I just always thought that was kind of funny, because like I'll go down a YouTube rabbit hole, and I remember like watching 80s and 90s commercials. Like people like made a compilation video for like 2 hours. I would watch it, and I would get really pissed when I see like McDonald's had like a Big Mac meal for $2.50.
Now it's like $15.
I was like pissed, like, yo, we had a good, we didn't even know it. Like, you know what I'm saying? We had it so good back then. But yeah, I like going back and watching like those old commercials from what we saw as kids, especially like they were the Saturday morning cartoons, they were showing like the console commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I always thought that was awesome. But while we're on that, before we go to the next console, I'm gonna throw another question out. We can go around the panel and in the comments. I want to know what you guys know in the chat. Best video game promo commercial. And I'll start it off. The original Super Smash Brothers.
That's what I was gonna say.
It doesn't get no better than that. AK, have you seen that before? Because I'll share the
No,
screen.
I don't think so.
Imagine me and you. I do.
Oh,
And they just start beating. You're like watching. You're like, okay.
my God.
And they just start beating the hell out of each other.
Mario and Pikachu and everybody. just
Donkey
floating
Kong.
through a field and-
It was so good, bro.
Oh,
my
that was
God.
great.
I want to show that, but actually, let me show this first. So we're learning new techniques on here, guys. So,
Dude, you know what? I can't think of a specific commercial off top, but like,
hold on.
be careful getting demonetized.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No matter how they toss the dice, you have to be the only one who leaves you.
That's scary.
Something's gone wrong in the happy-go-lucky world of Nintendo. Introducing Super Smash Brothers, where all your favorite characters go toe-to-toe in one 4-player star-studded slam fest, only on Nintendo 64.
Get in or get out. That was good marketing there.
What was the one? I think it was a Sega Genesis commercial. It had that one famous actor in it. He's like a fat white dude, and he's like sitting on the bench in like a park. Oh my goodness, dude! I'm trying to remember what it was. But Sega's had some of the most crazy like commercials, dude. Like Sega Genesis, like would dog Nintendo all the time, even though
they used to play dirty.
Yeah. Or the Super Nintendo commercial with Paul Rudd. That's a good one.
Oh yeah, I remember he was in one of the early ones
when he was super young, dude. Like nobody knew who Paul Rudd was back then, and like he's doing a Super Nintendo commercial, and they're like, "Are you playing with power, super power?" And it's just Paul Rudd just playing F-Zero. Like,
I remember there was one funny one that I was like, "This is kind of filthy," for the Atari Lynx, where it's like a gray handheld, and they just pan to a school bathroom. And you just see this kid, and you just see his arms moving, and you're like, "Come on now!" And then they pan inside the stall, and he playing the Atari Lynx. I was like, that one was.
I gotta see that. Oh my God! So Knucklehead said that was a Game Gear commercial, right? She said it was a commercial for Game Gear.
Oh, it was the Game Gear? Okay. Somebody in my chat says, my friend Ann, she says the first Legend of Zelda commercial was silly. I remember like the old advertisements for Zelda. They were really cringy, like really bad.
The cringiest thing that I can remember was this was Box Art, and it may be the worst. First got a smirk on his face. No, not that one. I know what you think about. You think about from a stuff. That is one. No. That wasn't even cringy. That's just flat out funny.
Yeah.
He's talking about what was his name? Jesus, baseball game on Genesis. Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah.
Tommy Lasorda baseball. If you see that cartridge in that cover, it's just his face. His face is just dumb.
Just
like
big fat face.
It was like terrible. It's so funny though. We went in that store. And that freaking game was like on display, and we were dying laughing. Like I just thought that was the funniest thing in the world. There it is. I got to show this. This is great.
And I have one too. I have an answer whenever you guys are ready.
Let's go here real quick. Look at that. His face is just dumb. Just a big face. I don't know. That was just hilarious, and they had it displayed in the store. I just thought that was freaking hilarious. But
they had like 8 copies displayed around the store.
Yeah, they definitely did. Yeah, I'll bring that question back up that I had, but we'll go with AK. What you got?
Yeah, so actually I have two, and these are newer games. I know you guys like to bring up the older ones, but I have two that come to mind. So the first one that popped in my head was the trailer, the cinematic trailer for The Last of Us 2, and then also the trailer for God of War Ragnarok. Those are just two trailers that I really liked for some reason. I think
Okay.
they're pretty cool.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
thinking
for
y'all
sure.
remember them. We might have to pull those up. We'll definitely pull them
You
up. Check them out. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next generation, which was considered the fourth generation. It took me a while to actually kind of find a chart that was kind of close because some of them was like leaving out turbo graphics, and I felt like it had to be included, even though it
Yeah.
wasn't like really like known like that to a lot of people. But fourth generations, Turbo Graphics 16, Sega Genesis, SNK, Neo Geo, and
Ooh,
the
Neo Geo.
SNES. Yeah,
That was a good generation, dude.
That really was.
Because like the Neo
One of the
Geo is like literally an arcade in your house, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and you know what? Watching Neo Ness's stuff,
Shout
like,
out to Neo Ness.
yeah, great content creator, guys. If you like the Neo Geo, he is like the expert and has like almost like all the games, like, and like he's like really in it. But I learned a lot from watching some of his videos, and like obviously like I don't have a Neo Geo and it's way too expensive for me to even start collecting for, but like it's really cool to watch other people. But like I've played Neo Geo games like on emulation and stuff, and like dude, the Neo Geo fighting games, like there's no other console that does fighting games like the Neo Geo. It is an arcade in your house, dude. And then the Turbo Graphics is amazing too. It doesn't get any love. Like that whole generation, the fourth generation is just good.
Really, really good.
Like,
really good. All right. Where you ranking them at? 1 through 4. Turbo Graphics, Genesis, Neo Geo, and SNES.
You know, I got to give it Super Nintendo's number one, hands down. It's my first console of all time. It's one of the greatest consoles of all time. Genesis is number 2, Neo Geo, then Turbo Graphics.
Okay. That's really tough. Like you really could swap them out.
You could.
Almost at any spot, honestly. Like
Yeah.
It's a really good one.
Like if you're a fighting game guy, you might have Neo Geo at number 1 or number 2 over Genesis, right? Or over Nintendo. Like it just depended on how you grew up. I knew people that had Turbo Graphics instead of Nintendo or Sega that loved it, you know? Like the game that always comes to mind with Turbo Graphics for me is like Bonk's Adventure. Like everybody talks about that game, right?
Yeah. Bonk's Adventure is a great game. Fantastic
Yeah.
game. BlakRanger, where you ranking the fourth generation, bro?
So for the fourth generation, and it all goes on actual nostalgia for me. What I played the most, I've got Genesis, SNES, Turbo Graphics 16, and then Neo Geo. And it's mainly because that's really what I played, how I played them the most. I owned Genesis. My god brother had the SNES and Turbo Graphics 16, and I didn't get anything with the Neo Geo till later.
Yeah.
Not like I own any of it because I don't have that much money. But like I said, that generation is super crazy. I have a lot of nostalgia for the Genesis. It was the first console I got for Christmas. I remember, I can remember that Christmas morning my grandmother came to the house. I was like, why is she here for us to open the presents? And I found Sonic and Street Fighter under the Christmas tree. And I was like, well, we don't have a Genesis. Then I opened the closet and there was a TV. And then under my bed somehow was the Sega Genesis. So that's super nostalgic for me.
Wait, so you got a TV, a Genesis, and games all in one Christmas? Dang, dude!
And he ain't had no money.
They must have liked you, bro.
A 13-inch. My sisters already had TVs. I just didn't have a TV yet. I got my little 13-inch. My grandmother bought the Sega and the games. No, my grandmother bought the Sega. My parents bought the games.
Dude, but like, isn't that like, man, just go back to the 80s or 90s. That was every little kid's dream, dude. Like you opened that like on Christmas morning. Like when I opened my Super Nintendo and like had a little 13-inch in my bedroom, like that was like the coolest thing, man. Like,
wow, Mom, Super Nintendo.
I have a story similar to that as well. I got the PS4, 42 or 37-inch TV and then games, and I cried when I opened it.
Hell yeah.
I was so excited.
That's awesome.
I don't know, that's worth crying, especially like PS4 days. Like
yeah, I was so excited.
I think 65 was my big TV at that time. I remember launch day for that. But we can jump to AK. Where would you rank Generation 4? TurboGrafx 16, SNES, the Genesis, and what was the last? Neo Geo.
Um, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have barely played any of those, probably because of my age. But
Okay.
I would have to just rank them just based on what I've played, which is the Genesis and the SNES. I've never played the other two. That's
Okay.
so
Fair
bad. I need
enough.
to get to it.
Fair enough. We will not judge. We do know the age difference, obviously. So we will take that into account. And that's to give context for the listeners for the audio and in the chat. AK is a little bit younger than us. So some of the stuff, once we get later into the generations, she would definitely
Yeah,
have
yeah.
more insight. So
Yeah.
don't come for her. Don't do that. All right. So I'm pretty sure you guys can guess number one for me. But honestly, I really could. Like I said, you can swap these out at any given time. So obviously, I'm gonna go SNES 1. I'm gonna go Genesis 2. I'm gonna go Neo Geo 3 and TurboGrafx 16 4.
And that's why we're
And
friends.
because SNES, obviously, like that's what I remember. Like it was kind of like in the neighborhood. You either had the SNES or you had the Genesis, and the Genesis guys are, oh, that's childish or whatever, because there definitely were the same games, but they were very different on each console.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from the Genesis because it was great in its own right. And Neo Geo was just amazing. Like I only knew one guy in the neighborhood that had it. I never played it. I didn't play it until I was an adult. When I finally got one, I've since sold it because I realized that you just like back then, you can't collect for it. I mean, unless you can. I'm not gonna say you can't. It's just not something that I think makes any type of sense for me. You know what I'm saying? Because the games are expensive. Fantastic console though. And I was later exposed to TurboGrafx 16, which somebody always tries to come to my
That would
house
be
and
me.
steal it.
That would be me.
So I always try every time he came over, I had to watch my TurboGrafx 16 because he would try to steal it.
Yep.
But
And
I
the mini.
do,
Oh,
yeah. I still have my mini, but I did get rid of TurboGrafx 16, and it was great in its own right too. But I really didn't know anything about TurboGrafx when I was a kid. I had no clue about it. But I have a follow-up question to this generation. How different would that generation and maybe gaming moving forward would have been? It's actually a two-part question. If TurboGrafx 16 was more, I guess, notable and known, and also what if Neo Geo was more affordable? How much would gaming have changed when it comes to that?
I'll jump in on that. It would have been a huge difference. Like
And
just when I was
where would like if you and part of that too, the third part of that question is, with that being considered, would your list change?
mm, so and it possibly would change because I possibly would have owned a TurboGrafx 16 or a Neo Geo back then. Like when I was exposed to the Turbo Graphics, went to my godmother's house and I walked in the room. I was like, "What is this thing?" It just looked cool. You got the like the little cards. They also had other forms of the games, but just the look of it was super cool. The controller was cool. You got you could actually turn the turbo on and off and everything, and those were standard controllers. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Sega and everybody, they started coming out with controllers that you can manipulate the speed and everything, but it came out standard like that. Turbo Graphics probably would have taken off a lot more, and if Neo Geo was affordable, everybody probably would have had one because that was still back in the day when you would want to go to the arcade. You could go to Pizza Hut and play the games in the arcade and stuff like that. So everybody probably would have been able to afford one,
Yeah,
and it probably would have been way different.
yeah, I can agree with that.
I have a question about Neo Geo though, real quick, because this is one thing that's
Sure.
always confused me. Maybe you guys know
Okay.
what is a Neo Geo AES and a Neo Geo, what's the other one, MVS or what? Like,
The MVS is the arcade, the actual arcades. The AES is the home console.
okay.
But just so to give context for people who don't know, the AES, the controller is an actual, like what we know as arcade sticks. That
Right.
was the controller, right?
Yeah.
And these were complete duplicates of art. You literally had a home arcade in your house. So in retrospect, looking back, the price was probably right because think about it, it's like they were exact arcade games.
Were the
The MVS
were the
cartridges were huge.
I know,
They
but
are
like
huge.
were the cartridges interchangeable? Could like the ones for the arcade machine plug into the home console and vice versa, or
I feel like I may have heard something. I had to reach out to Neo Ness. It'd be nice if he jumped in here. That'd be great.
yeah.
Man,
But I'm not sure. But I know the MVS that like if you get an MVS console now, you could buy the different boards to interchange, which is similar to a lot of arcades. But I think they kind of had one. I think probably that. And what's the Sega one? The
AES.
No, the Sega arcade console. What is it? What is it called? Retro City, something like that. Something City.
Oh, those I know which ones you're talking about too.
Yeah, they got their, but those carts are interchangeable for their arcade. So that's where the MVS you could buy each game in its own cartridge board and
Okay.
change them out.
So
But the AES, I don't think you can change them. But just to give context, like that, one AES cartridge was like, I think maybe like 4 DVD cases put together, super heavy. Thank you, Glenn. Shout out to Glenn in the chat. He said those are Astro City cabs. So those were like interchangeable where you could change them out. Versus if you bought a arcade cabinet, it was just that game on there or whatever else. But
does Neo Ness collect the games for the home console or the arcade machines?
he's got the home ones.
The home
I
ones.
think he does have an MVS arcade console too, though.
So he has a full arcade cabinet. Is that what these MVSs
He's
are?
got that, yeah.
Oh
He's
wow.
got one of those too.
Okay, that's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was one of, I think at the time, like that was probably the only one that you can change those out, I think.
Now, do they make for the Neo Geo home console, the AES, do they, because the games are so expensive, do they make like a multi-cart?
I think they got one, but you could do the math on what that would cost.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, at the end of the day, like it is something that is like it really is an amazing console. And the reason I got rid of mine, like once I got it and I realized like every game was like $200 and $400 or more, I was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? In theory, you think like, yeah, I can go after this whole set. It's only like 120 games or something.
Yeah, but when the games are the cheapest game is like $100. Like, dude, there's a game right here for $13.99. No way, dude. Like,
it's insane. It really is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful console, and that's why shout out to Neil Ness. I always, when we were on Mr. Rightway's podcast, I always encourage him to really stay in that pocket with his channel because to me, he's one, if not the only one that I know of on YouTube that's fully engaged in this set, and it's really, it's really in a lane of its own, and he could be the one to kind of bring more interest to it, give more information because he has he's very close to finishing that set, which is an amazing feat in itself. But even looking at those huge clamshell cases, which was that's a work of art to look at too. Like it's really beautiful. Just the console itself, like it stand the test of time. You could throw on AES right now, and have a ball.
And definitely, Rec said it, but definitely go check his channel out and check his new game room tour. Those cabinets that he has for his games are super fire. I was looking at it like, man, I got these cheap Target and Walmart bookcases down here, and he has these fantastic shelves. Light.
They are nice.
You can open it. I was like, them Jones is stupid. But just the way the Neo Geo cases look, they're huge, but they display so well.
They
especially in the plastic covers that he has. Them Jones are dope. It's like having Tears of the Kingdom, 80.
That's a good example. That's a good example. That's a very good example. Absolutely. So, AK, did you want to chime in on this, or you want to skip it just because it was still kind of piggybacked off the last question?
Yeah, pretty. I'm here to learn at this point.
It's all good. You may have a little bit with this 5th generation. So
let's see.
Let's move to the 5th generation. Sega Saturn, Sony PlayStation, and N64. Look.
Wait, hold on.
He's salivating.
Hold on. Don't forget about the best console in that whole generation, bro. You're leaving out the Atari Jaguar. All right? Like, no, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
No, that's what I said. Some of these lists are like it's missing stuff. Like it is messed up because Jaguar ain't even on here.
I know.
But that's
I mean,
that generation, right?
yeah, it is. It was it was supposed to be like
Yeah.
64-bit or whatever, but it was really like 32. It was like two 32-bit things, and they lied. Atari was they lied.
They did. We'll throw the Jaguar in there. So Atari Jaguar, Sega Saturn, Sony PlayStation, and the N64. AK, you familiar with those or any of them?
The
Go ahead.
PS1, yeah, the PS1 for sure, and the other ones sound familiar, but I've never played.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough. BlakRanger, where you at?
Well, by the shirt, of course, you could tell. Nintendo 64 for me. Then I'm going to go PS1, Saturn, and then the Jaguar, and I'll put them in that order.
We gotta throw one more in there. Shout out to Glenn in the chat real quick.
Oh, the 3DO.
That wasn't on there too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, 3DO.
Yeah, we gotta throw that in.
And the Philips CDI, dude. Like, there's so many that are just garbage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was looking for the most accurate list I could find, but as we go along, I'm sure like the chat will chime in and kind of fix those things. But yeah, go ahead. I'm pretty sure your list is pretty much made the same with those two added.
Yeah, I'd put the 3DO next, and then the CDI if we include that. But for me, I was, even though I had a Genesis, I was still a Nintendo guy. So I got a Nintendo 64 for Christmas, and everything, and that was my system. And just like it was, either you had Super Nintendo and Genesis, you either had N64, you had PlayStation, really, especially in my area. So my uncle had a PlayStation, I had the 64, and I would be at their house all the time. So we'd have both of them hooked up playing games all the time. So I have a lot of nostalgia, obviously, for the N64. PlayStation 1 was pretty dope. I used to love playing the original Tomb Raider. That was back when, like I said, my friend used to get carts from PlayStation, I guess. So played Tenchu and Final Fantasy 7 and all these things at friend's house, Resident Evil. And you can see the difference between Resident Evil on the N64 and PlayStation cinematically, of course. And then outside of that, Sega Saturn was just cool. I won't say it was slept on, but it was kind of slept on. By then, Sega was falling behind because once Sony hopped into the scene, they were the new bright thing, and everybody wanted a PlayStation. So Sega started falling behind. That started their downfall a little bit, and then I didn't have a Jaguar, but it just always looked cool. It looked like a big CD player to me. So yeah, that's how I'm ranking those ones.
All right, chat, get your fingers ready. Let's go, Rec.
So number one for me it's tough, but number one's going to be the Nintendo 64.
Wow.
And number two is going to be the PlayStation. And number three is going to be the Atari Jaguar. Yeah, I had an Atari Jaguar. I remember my mom and dad had split when I was a kid, so like, you know, I had the N64 and the PlayStation 1, you know, at my mom's where I primarily lived. But my dad was like, oh, you need a console for when you come over to visit me and stuff. So we went to KB Toys when I was a kid, and we had bought the Atari Jaguar because he was like, well, you don't have this one, so let's get this one. So you have all of them. Well, most of them. And so he bought me that. And that was when the Atari Jaguar was like on its way out. It had already failed. So it was already stupid cheap. And like we were able to, like, all the games were like in the bargain bin for like $5, you know, like so he had bought like a huge chunk of the library, probably had like 15 to 20 games for it, like and I hate the fact that they gave the console away because that thing is worth so much money now, especially the games. And that's where I'm going to end right there. Yeah, we're not even going to put Saturn on the list because it's not worthy.
Oh my God. I don't know if you see that
filthy mouth.
I don't know if you see that comment from my boy Glenn. He's a big Sega fan.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Glenn might have to go on timeout though. That comment was funny, but how dare you just trash the N64 like that, Glenn? You should be ashamed of yourself.
I think he was talking about in the context of libraries. He's a big Sega guy. Like,
Now,
I'm gonna pick on him too because he's a Sega guy, but I call him buying some Nintendo stuff at Super Mag Fest.
look,
So how you like that, Glenn?
I'm gonna say this. It's tough. I feel like the N64 and the PlayStation, you chose the console that I felt like maybe fit your age demographic at the time of when they released, right? Because like, look at the N64. It has amazing Mario games, Zelda games, Kirby, all that stuff, like really great co-op party games, very great kid-friendly games. And then you look
multiplayer console of
yeah,
all time.
it really is. And then you look at the PlayStation 1, which is like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, like more like teenager adult kind of games, you know, like rated M, rated T for teen. A lot more mature games. Yes, there were kid games on there, of course. Like I love Rugrats, Search for Reptar. Like that's just like what nostalgia bomb that just lives in my head. But I loved both consoles. It's very hard. Like it honestly, like I could tie them because they both did amazing things for different types of people. Like if you liked RPGs, you got a PlayStation. But you know, if you liked Mario or Zelda, you got a Nintendo. And there was nothing wrong with either one of them. Like, dude, Nintendo 64, you were saying earlier, like the fact they were able to compress Resident Evil 2 down enough to where it was playable on the N64 and it still ran and played pretty decently. Yeah. Like that's pretty impressive, dude. Because like that, again, I've said it before, that was Nintendo's big issue. Like how different would the gaming industry look today had Nintendo went with a CD-based console like everybody else and not lost all that third-party support? Like, could imagine Nintendo goes, hey, we're going to make a CD-based console, and Square Enix, or Square at the time, Squaresoft, they're like, okay, well, we've always rocked with Nintendo. All the Final Fantasy games are on Nintendo. Like, dude, we're going to stick with you. Final Fantasy VII comes to the N64 and not the PlayStation. Metal Gear was an NES game. It stays with the N64, not the PlayStation. And all of these third-party developers stick with the brand that they're most comfortable with that has been dominating the industry for over a decade at that point. They don't go to PlayStation. How different would the industry look today?
Man, too.
Wouldn't it look very different today? Like they would have had no reason to leave Nintendo to go to PlayStation. Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't have put the same games on both consoles, but Nintendo would not have. I mean, 30 million consoles for the N64 is still a good amount, but the PlayStation being its first console sold like 100 million. It's nuts. It's like nuts that was their first console ever.
Yeah, well, I got to give my list too, but the pricing played a role in that too, because if I remember right, PlayStation was like $100. They always went with the price, which helped a big deal, especially for parents buying consoles. So all of that to take in consideration played a role as well.
And it was a CD player. That was big in the 90s.
Yeah. Very big. That's true. Very, very big because CD players were expensive back then. So I'm going to go N64, PlayStation, Saturn, Jaguar, then the 3DO. I eventually got a Jaguar and a 3DO. To some degree, I like them in their own kind of ways. I think the best port of Street Fighter was on the 3DO. People forget that one was really, really good. The Saturn was just slept on. Like Sega just made so many mistakes. Like they were just, if they had got on board with Sega North America and Sega Japan was two different entities, and they kind of were on two different paths. And I wish they had stuck with Japan, but they started getting rifts, so they were doing too much at the same time. Like we didn't even mention 32X, and we could probably just not. That's not out of disrespect, but it would be kind of difficult to figure out where we're putting that, and we didn't even get Sega CD in. But again, I don't think it would have changed anybody's list, to be honest with you. But N64, like I was saying, that's the best multiplayer console of all time, point blank period. Because even, Rec was saying like it was more adult or teenage to adult players on PlayStation, but at the same time, N64, GoldenEye. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like GoldenEye was and is goated, Perfect Dark, like list goes on and on. right?
And
But
like you said, you can't do nothing without No Mercy.
best wrestling games of all time, top 4 best wrestling game, not up for debate.
Oh
Live
yeah,
on the Nintendo 64.
yeah.
Point blank period.
For sure, the best wrestling games of all time are on the N64. It's like not even a
Yeah.
debate, even to like
Yeah, we got-
today's standards. Like it's still the best.
Yeah, and we got in Chad Knucklehead said the Mario Party games fantastic.
So
That's where they
good.
started. Smash Brothers started there as well.
Diddy
before
Kong
commercial-
Racing.
Diddy Kong Racing. Oh my God! Like N64 set a lot of trends in their own right. I mean, just looking at those numbers, you throw 100 million to 30 million. Like it's insane because if you're living in real time, preteen to teenage years, that don't even sound right. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It really don't. Like when you just was around people, it just don't sound right. But it is what it is. But to answer your question over Rec, if and this was a thing that I kind of always had with Nintendo. I love Nintendo to death, but I always just wish they just decided to just keep doing what you're doing, but be a little more competitive when it comes to where everybody else is at. But I guess that's part of their thing. They want to stay in their own lane. I respect it, and it works. But me being a bigger Nintendo fan as I am, I would always get tired of hearing that thing. Oh, they don't have this and they don't have that graphics stuff and this, that, and the other. Like I hated hearing that. And even to this day, I still hate because I know it's there. I just really wish because if, like he said, if it went to a CD base, we wouldn't even be talking. Xbox may not be around, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Because Microsoft at the time, well, even same with Sony. If that deal didn't fall through with Nintendo, for people who don't know, there was a console supposed to be called the Nintendo PlayStation. There is a prototype that's around that goes to conventions that you can play. If that deal didn't fall through, Sony was making the disc base for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
So if that deal didn't fall through, we may not even have a PlayStation,
Yeah.
not like a Sony PlayStation, right? So it definitely was there. I forgot what happened. Something happened like in regards to like business wise. You got more information on that?
Basically what happened was Nintendo went to Sony because Sony at the time was the leading company in the world for sound chips. And so they wanted their sound. And so they did a whole contract. Nintendo realized they were getting the short end of the stick because Sony, for every game sold, that they were going to get the vast majority of the profits. Nintendo was basically going to get screwed on the whole deal and wasn't going to make very much money, so they backed out. And then they went to Sony at the time's number one competitor, Philips, and they were going to do a deal with Philips and create a console. And then Nintendo ended up backing out of that deal, and so the way that Philips kind of let them back out of the deal is like, hey, we still want to be able to use your characters and IPs, which is why you have the 3 Zelda games, Wand of Gamelon, freaking Zelda's Adventure, and the other one, and then you have like Mario, what the hell is it called? Hotel Mario. So Philips basically released their own console called the Philips CDI, and Nintendo released the Nintendo 64. So that's kind of how all that happened.
Yeah. So thanks for giving context on that. I knew it was something, I just couldn't remember it. All right, so we're gonna move on to the 6th generation. This is gonna be a goodie. I think we're gonna start some drama in the chat. Y'all better get ready.
I'm ready to piss some people off.
Well, I already know what you're gonna say.
Ooh.
Sega Dreamcast, Sony PS2, Nintendo GameCube, and the original Microsoft Xbox. AK, you ready for these?
Yeah, okay. Now I have a little more opinions on this.
We're gonna start with AK. We're gonna go with her on this one. Or you want some time to put some thoughts together?
Okay, no, I think I'm good. So definitely number one is PS2. That's when I really started to get into gaming. So definitely PS2. It was Xbox, GameCube,
Xbox, GameCube, PS2, and Dreamcast.
Okay. Second, definitely Xbox, GameCube, and then Dreamcast. Because I've never played Dreamcast, but I have played the first 3, and it really is just a nostalgia thing for me. But I loved the PS2, but I also loved the Xbox. I had games on both. I remember
Mhm.
playing on Xbox specifically. It was like a Shrek game that I used to play a lot with my family members. So that's why it goes over GameCube. But yeah, I do have opinions on those. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right, great. That's a great list. I like it.
Yeah.
He's salivating.
You could
Go
save
ahead,
you no
Rex.
you could
Go ahead,
save me
Rex.
for last. You could save me for last because I might like hurt some feelings and shit and like
It's gonna happen, so it doesn't matter. Black Ranger.
Definitely gonna happen. So for me, I'm gonna go PS2. Surprisingly,
surprisingly.
Dreamcast. Yeah, surprise as the Nintendo guy who's also kind of a Sega guy, but PS2, Dreamcast, GameCube, Xbox. And the main reason I put Xbox last, I didn't have an Xbox. My little cousins had it. Somebody always had the other system. My cousin actually was gifted an Xbox by the Baltimore Ravens. Shout out to them for that, for being like the top child entrepreneur in the country from a school project. So he
Black
was
Ranger
sponsoring
is
them.
the biggest Baltimore Ravens fan there is, just so y'all know.
You watch your mouth, all right? You watch your mouth. I do support hometown though, so go Baltimore. But so the Xbox, I just played it over there all the time. And I used to go over there. I'm probably gonna get a lot of slack, but I never really got into Halo because I didn't have an Xbox. I would just go over there and play with them. It was fun, but I never did the campaign or anything like that. So I wasn't as big into it as everyone else. But the PS2 is what I got for Christmas. Um, so I had a lot of love for the PS2 back then. I didn't. My best friend had a Dreamcast, and that's why I have a Dreamcast now. He gave it to me. Um, Super slept on, and I'm saying that because of RectWizard. We know it's one of his favorite consoles, though. And the VMU, the controller and the VMU are legendary, legendary. Crazy Taxi, Ready to Rumble box, and all that good stuff. Yeah, and then the GameCube. I mean, they had their faults with the mini disc, but it was actually, I mean, it's Nintendo, so the games are still pretty fun, like to this day.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm going.
All right, so I'm gonna go because Rec wants to go last, and I'm probably gonna shock some people. I'm about to shock, so I'm gonna drop a bomb before he drop his bomb. So first in this generation, Dreamcast.
Mm.
Going Dreamcast. Dreamcast, like honestly, like Dreamcast, and how I decided this, and I'm everybody know I'm Nintendo through and through, but how I took everything into account. I took uh nostalgia, like the feels back then when it came out, and even just how innovative things were. So Dreamcast is number one for me. Number two, I gotta go PS2. I spent a lot of time on the PS2. PS2 pretty for the most part. Well, not even for the most, it dominated that time. So it was a lot of stuff. NBA Street started on there. It was a lot of fun. GTA was when it really took off on there. Um, yeah, so it was a lot on that. I'm going to go. I'm kind of back and forth, and I shouldn't be, but I'm gonna go GameCube over Xbox because I personally had a GameCube, but my brothers had Xbox, and Xbox, I really can throw those really well. Now I would put GameCube over because I spent more time on it, but Xbox in its own right was amazing too. That was another one that was like when it came out, like it was just like, wow, this is
Yeah.
different. You know what I'm saying? Having the DVD player, the remote. They had their own sports series, NFL Fever, and what was the basketball game? NBA Inside Drive. Like I just loved when you were able to identify consoles based on their game. I miss that so much.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's why I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of reasons why I'm more Nintendo, but I love how Nintendo always kept their stuff theirs. And that to me, that's what makes it different. Cause now it's kind of like if you take Nintendo Switch out of current gen consoles, you really, it doesn't matter what you play outside of that. It doesn't matter. Everything has everything now.
Yeah.
And I really miss those days where it was different. But like Dreamcast at the time, I still hear the sounds, the startup, the commercials before it came out. What was it, $99.99? Am I right? The date,
Yeah.
like stuff like it just never leaves. And I remember my brother coming home, firing it up, playing NBA 2K, NFL 2K, Ready to Rumble. I think they were working at the time. They had to be because him and my cousin, they had so much, the VMUs, all that, bro. Like it that was special. That was so special. And I hate that they didn't undersell Rec because it wasn't good. They were getting ripped off because people were able to burn their CDs. That's the only reason.
Preach.
Because to me, Dreamcast would have smoked PS2 boots. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm straight up. That's how I feel. Dreamcast was that good.
Hey.
We the gaming industry, gaming fans as a whole, we got robbed because of that.
Hey.
All because of probably your older brothers on Napster and burning and ripping games and going to school and selling them for $10, ripping Sega off. You know what I'm saying? Like, you robbed us, man. So thank you and your buddies who wanted to play Tony Hawk.
It's the same argument when people say that LeBron is better than Jordan. Who got 6 rings? Who got 6 rings? Who got 6 rings? So let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
LeBron, what are we talking about? What?
9 million versus 158 million.
Did he not just hear what I said?
The rest of the world would disagree with you, my friend.
I bet you. Chat, light it up. Light it up in the chat. Dreamcast and PS2. We gotta have that.
There's a lot of
already
Dreamcast love in the chat right now.
Yeah.
We
That's
don't
okay.
appreciate your slander, sir.
That's okay.
You watch your mouth on Sunday.
That's okay. They could all be wrong. That's fine.
All right.
I think PS2 over Dreamcast, in my opinion.
See, AK knows what she's talking about. All right, so I guess.
Go on with your soliloquy, sir.
Well, I mean, Glenn, they had to have a great launch lineup to, at least try to survive. I mean, but I mean, even with such a great launch library, I mean, they didn't last much longer than the launch. So clearly it wasn't that great of a launch library. Anyway.
I'm gonna mute my mic to keep it PG. I'm going to mute myself.
All right. So number 1 is clearly the PlayStation 2, the greatest selling console of all time. The greatest console of all time with some of the greatest video game franchises starting on that console, from Grand Theft Auto, Ratchet and Clank, and so many more. That was a no-brainer. It was a DVD player, it was a CD player, it would play PlayStation 1 games, and it outsold every console in the history of video games, second to none. So, numbers don't lie. PlayStation 2 has an amazing library of games, one of the greatest video game controllers of all time, and it just beat every other console hand over fist. If you took every other console that was released in that generation and combined their sales, would still not even come close to touching the PlayStation 2. Actually, if you combined all 3, you still wouldn't even break 100 million. Come on now, Sega fans. Come on, little buddy. You know better than that. Now, number 2 is the original Xbox. The original Xbox was the most powerful console of that generation. Also had a DVD player with that stupid dongle, which was dumb on Microsoft's part, but had some of the greatest games of all time, like Fable, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Oblivion.
We love dongles.
Halo 2, Halo 1 and 2, and so many great games on the original Xbox. I love the original Xbox. It was a great system. One of my favorites of all time, and it introduced Xbox Live, which was far superior to Sony or Sega's online service.
I don't know about that, because that Dreamcast, that so much of that.
All right, and then my third spot goes to the Nintendo GameCube. It had one of the greatest controllers ever made of all time, in my opinion. It's still one of my favorite controllers. The mini disc sucked. It wasn't a DVD player, but it had some decent first party games. But once you get past the first party games, it's kind of like, they're all right. Like, because a lot of them were multi-plats that were on other consoles. But like, yeah, you had like Mario Kart Double Dash, you had Smash Brothers Melee. Skies of Arcadia was a great game, but they had that on the Dreamcast as well. But the GameCube version was the definitive version. GameCube was a pretty good console. I like my GameCube. The Sega Dreamcast. I cannot stand that people will sit here and try to tell me it was so ahead of its time. It irritates the living shit out of me. Excuse my French. No pun intended, French. It bothers me that people are like, it was so ahead of its time. It's like, do you guys not realize it came out in September of 2000 or 1999 and the PlayStation came out like right after? Like what? It was ahead of its time by fucking 6 months? Like, come on, guys, like give me a break,
how old
dog.
were you in 1999?
I was 8 years old.
Yeah,
What does age have
okay.
to do with anything?
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an 8-year-old child right now,
Uh-huh.
and you ask your 8-year-old, hey, what do you think about Final Fantasy
Uh-huh.
or The Last of Us? What do you think they're saying? To anything outside of something they can jump in and play, a sports title, racing game, or a fighting game. What do you think they're saying? Honest opinion.
It depends on the kid. I played Final Fantasy.
Any 8-year-old kid, the majority, because we talking numbers, so the majority bought PlayStation, right?
Uh-huh.
We just talking majority right
Okay.
now. You ask, shit, you probably can go up to almost teenage years right now.
Where's your? So I see where you're going, but what is your point comparing that to the Dreamcast though? Because Dreamcast had more adult games like the PlayStation 2.
Well, I'm arguing your point.
Uh-huh.
Because you were saying how much it sold and how quote unquote bad it was and how it wasn't ahead of its time. But you're giving your opinion based on when you were 8.
But no, because I didn't get my Dreamcast until the early 2000s. I was a preteen or early teenager when I got my Dreamcast. I didn't get it on launch day. I got my first console out of that entire generation was the original Xbox in 2001. So I didn't get the Sony PlayStation on launch either. I was well on my way into high school when I got the Dreamcast because I got it on eBay. My dad bought it for me on eBay and got me House of the Dead with the light guns, and I had Crazy Taxi, and I had Dino Crisis, and I had all those games. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it wasn't ahead of its time. You guys, like what? It came out a few months before the Sony PlayStation 2. Like it wasn't even a DVD player. Dude, what games on it were better? Well, okay, fighting games. I'll give you fighting games, dog. But like, what else was better than the original Xbox and the PlayStation 2? It is by far the weakest console in that generation. Like even the GameCube, was more powerful than the PS2. Like if we're gonna talk about power, it was the weakest. It didn't have as many features as all the other consoles.
What?
Yes, hardware-wise, it was the weakest.
To this day, Dreamcast games look far better than everything in that generation.
You mean the 10 that were good on the whole console?
Everything. All of it.
Give me 10 good Dreamcast games off top right now. 10 good ones. No sequels.
Marvel versus... How can you not do that? Like, how can I not include sequels? Like,
okay, go ahead. I'll give you sequels. Go ahead. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Next. We're going to do Sonic Adventures 1 and 2?
What is that? Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for that.
There's 3.
Crazy Taxi.
Okay, that also on PlayStation. It was a multi-plat. Next.
Doesn't matter. The Dreamcast one was better.
Okay.
If I'm telling you something, Marvel vs. Capcom was multi-plat too. If I'm telling you that, I'm telling you it's better on Dreamcast.
Uh-huh. Next.
Okay,
that's 4.
What was that? Tomb Raider: Last Revelation.
Oh God, we're gonna. Okay, that's 5.
The original NBA 2K, the original NFL 2K.
Okay.
And I'm putting sports titles up against whatever you want to say. Whatever you want to say.
The sports titles were better on the original Xbox. They ran the Xbox ran every game better than the Dreamcast because it was literally a PC. It was a gaming PC.
Nothing else was running 2K at the time, just so you know.
What are you talking about? Was running 2K? There's 2K on every other console. It was a multi-plat.
Please, chat. Please remind young RectWizard that was 8 years old when this came out where NBA and NFL 2K started. I think he's confused.
Okay,
Sports plus Sega.
But we're talking. I understand that, but Sega eventually put everything on Xbox because they failed.
Yeah,
once they got the 2K1 and 2K2, those came out.
Yes,
2K2 was when it went out. I'm talking about the OGs.
The OG was just the first game, though. Every other game after that.
It was the first 2.
2K1 wasn't on.
No, it started with 2K2, I believe. If I remember right, I'm pretty sure it started with 2K2. Yes. What's that? Jet Grind Radio.
Okay.
Ready to Rumble Boxing.
Okay, Ready to Rumble was on other consoles too. It wasn't
not at the time.
It doesn't matter because there was no other consoles when it launched in '99. But let's
No,
put it
you
on
missing
an.
when- no, no,
But
you
put
missing
it
what
on.
I'm saying.
Put it on
Those
a.
games started on the Dreamcast.
I know, but they were better on other consoles.
They weren't the same games. They were newer games.
No,
They were, there were sequels.
ready
They
to
were-
Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Ready to Rumble, these 2K
That was-
games, like these were
Yeah,
all
that-
on other
no,
consoles.
No, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 did not start on Dreamcast. No, but Ready to Rumble Boxing, NBA 2K, NFL 2K, they were all Sega exclusives, and Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, they were Sega exclusives for like the first year, but then when the other 3 consoles came out, they instantly went to the other consoles. Like they were only exclusive because in '99 the Dreamcast was the only 6th-gen console released.
No, they were Sega games. That's why they were exclusive.
Yeah, they were Sega games, and then when those other consoles came out, they weren't just Sega games.
There you
How
go.
do I not
Sums it
know?
up.
How do I not know my history?
Bro? You don't, because you're missing a lot, bro.
What am I
You are.
missing?
Those first titles that I named,
Uh-huh.
Crazy Taxi, Ready
Yes.
to Rumble, NBA, and they were you could only play them on Dreamcast. To this day,
I
you
have
can only play
crazy
those
I
games.
have Crazy Taxi on my
Yes, that was
PlayStation
a
2.
port, and that was years later.
Okay, what I didn't say that they were multiplats during that generation though. They were only exclusive for a short while. That's like, dude, Resident Evil 4 was supposed to be a GameCube exclusive and it came out on the PlayStation 2. I'm not saying they're not exclusive at the time, but
People didn't figure out how to burn this. You would not see.
that's not why
Crazy
that is a
Ready to
contributing
Rumble,
factor.
NBA.
That is a contributing factor, but that's not the main reason. Since Glenn wants to call me on my history here in chat, Glenn, the real reason why the Dreamcast failed was because the president of Sega said that the Sega Saturn was not their future. And when Sega of Japan wanted them to push the Saturn, when Sega of America was still on the freaking Tower of Power hype with the Sega CD garbage. Yeah, all the garbage gimmicky Sega stuff that they came out with is why they failed. It wasn't just because they could burn the GMU discs for the Dreamcast. I know a little bit, Glenn. I know you like to think that I don't, dog.
We all know that's the reason why Dreamcast failed.
But Dreamcast, it was contributing factors. It was the same reason why the GameCube didn't do as well as it could have, because the prior generation, the N64, shot that GameCube in the foot. It doesn't just happen from that generation. If Nintendo was still riding high from the Super Nintendo days, the GameCube would have done much better. The N64 shot itself in the foot by sticking with cartridges, which screwed over the third-party support, which screwed over the GameCube. The Dreamcast failed because the Sega president of America said, the Genesis is our future, the Saturn is not our future, even though Japan Sega was pushing them to do so. So people were like, well, why would we buy a Saturn if Sega themselves is telling us it's not their future? So the Saturn sold 9 million units, which led into the Dreamcast selling like garbage. Dude, I'm just saying, you're wrong. 100% history and numbers don't lie. 9 million units is less than the Wii U. Like, you might as well be the Virtual Boy, dog. Like, get out of here with your Dreamcast garbage. It's not ahead of its time. The PlayStation did everything the Dreamcast did, but better, and so did the Xbox, and so did the GameCube. Next.
And if we're gonna talk about numbers, is the PSP better than the Xbox?
The PSP?
Yes.
The handheld?
Yes.
I don't handheld game.
But is it better?
Is it better?
Because it outsold it by 20 million.
Yeah, it outsold it by 20 million, but the handheld market is a totally different market.
No. Okay. It's the Famicom.
That's like saying is the Nintendo DS better than the Dreamcast or the Super Nintendo? Like, it's a handheld. It's different. It's a totally different market. I didn't buy handheld consoles. It wasn't my thing.
I don't buy games based on what everybody likes. I buy games based on what I like.
I know, but you guys are trying to make the argument that the Dreamcast was better, but the rest of the world doesn't agree with you, and the numbers don't lie.
You're going by numbers, and that
numbers, but numbers don't lie.
Nobody goes off. I don't. If that's the case, then how would I be a big of a Nintendo fan if I went by what everybody likes? Because you're going off of numbers. You're talking about numbers.
But Nintendo had,
because it sold more. You got to think about if you're a parent now. I mean, yes, it is a little different, right? But our parents, they were buying whatever they could afford.
Mm-hmm.
And Sony always undercut with price. That's
okay.
a fact. So therefore, they're going to buy that.
But the GameCube was being sold for $50 and nobody still bought the thing. $50 for a
What I'm
GameCube.
saying is, if everybody based on price, I'm not buying that. You're gonna get this. Every kid played whatever their parents bought them.
I understand they bought, but dude, you also are just attributing the fact that you think that only kids bought consoles in the early 2000s. Like adults bought consoles too. Like it's not just what parents bought.
Yeah, but at the time, the majority is pretty much going to Christmas sales, bro.
Is there numbers to support your argument? Because like, dude, 155 million units is a lot of units, and like,
you keep bringing these numbers up, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you.
but if the console did well on launch and people were hyping it up and would have liked the console,
It did very well on launch. Actually,
Did
didn't
it?
do what? It didn't fail on launch at all.
okay,
That was
but
one of the best launches in history.
it sold 9 million units worldwide, not just in America. Even in
That's
Japan,
because
it
within
sold poorly.
6-7 months, they were burning the CDs. That's the only reason Dreamcast failed. It has nothing to do with anything else. Nothing else.
But what does burning games have to do with console sales, though? Because if people aren't buying the consoles, what does that have to do with burning the
why
games?
Why would you buy a console when you could just burn games?
What
So
would you,
obviously
Marcus? What would you play
everybody's
them
not-
on if you didn't have a console?
Yes, that's true. But
Right.
the point
So
being
burning
is-
games has nothing to do with them not selling the physical hardware. Because even if you bought burned games, you still needed the console to play them, and nobody bought the console.
So why? Right, but why would Sega? Obviously, they need sales from their games too. They put millions of dollars into these. You think that didn't play a role in affecting whether or not they're able to produce? Why as a business?
They
why I
didn't-
keep doing
but
what-
they-
they sabotaged me already.
Marcus, they did not not produce hardware because people burned games. It's because nobody bought them. Nobody bought them. 9 million worldwide. Japan, the place that's supposed to support Sega the most, didn't.
You live, right? Right.
Yeah, I'm live.
Everybody, all of us that's live, drop in the chat right now. Everyone comment PS2 or Dreamcast.
Oh, my chat's already said PS2, regardless. Like,
I want numbers. I want numbers.
I don't
You
know.
wanna talk
There's
numbers? I
only
wanna
like
Go through.
4 people
Help.
talking.
RectWizard's chat, help them out. Help them out, guys. I already know what my chat's saying.
And I'm not saying that the Dreamcast didn't have good games, but it's absolutely annoying that people remember that console through rose-colored glasses, dude. I'm sorry, but like, if you're going to sit here and tell me that 155 million gamers' opinions don't matter versus 9 million, like your own
Were they all gamers though? What was the one thing? And this, let's really talk because I wasn't
okay, because I see where dude, I see where you're going with this, but we could say the same thing
what
about the
am I gonna
Wii.
say?
We could
What
say
would I
that
say?
you're gonna say how many people bought it. You're gonna say how many people bought it because it was a DVD player and it was the cheapest DVD
Bingo,
player.
you're right. See,
Really?
You ain't dumb.
Really?
You're smart.
Then you could
You're
make
smart.
the same argument with the fucking Wii console because the Wii was sold to grandmas in nursing homes, dude. Like it wasn't for gamers. Like
I don't think anybody argues that. Like we're not arguing that. That's the thing. We're not arguing it. You're trying to argue the fact that PS2 was just because more people bought it because they looked at it. DVD players at the time was like $200. Wouldn't it make sense for me to spend $300? I can play games and get a DVD player and a CD player.
uh-huh.
Now ask as many people that's like French and I's age bracket if their main DVD player was not their PS2.
Okay.
Tell me that wasn't a major factor in purchasing a PS2. That's a fact. That's from somebody who was able to go out and get a job and then go buy my own.
Yep.
If I want a DVD player, I might as well get this too, so I can do both. That don't necessarily mean it was better because it sold more. Because if that's the case, we all can agree. And I'm a Nintendo fan. I have a complete Wii set. That ain't my favorite console at all. Like not even close. Means nothing. But was it fun to play? Absolutely. Because even with that, even if you're talking about the gimmicky stuff and stuff sold to grandmas, that doesn't mean that Wii was wasn't fun.
So when we're
and it's happened to sell well.
when we're running an election in this country, what do we do to see who's leading in the polls, right? We run polls, right? To get a general idea of what the world thinks. So on my community tab on YouTube, with over 1.5 thousand votes, because my community comes in strong for me. Let's see, 1.5 thousand votes. Which 6th generation console was your favorite? Coming in at number 1 out of 1.5 thousand votes at 54%, Sony PlayStation 2. Coming in at number 2 with 28% the Nintendo GameCube. Coming in at number 3 with 11%, the original Xbox, and with a whopping 8%, the Sega Dreamcast. So it's not just me because I was
biased.
8.
That's biased. You know why it's biased?
Let me hear it.
You know why it's biased?
Okay.
You know why they voted like that? They voting on what they collect now. That's a fact. If we're talking about collecting, yeah, those numbers seem right.
Okay.
Why wouldn't they?
The numbers back then seemed right too, with 155 million units sold though. And today, more people voted on the PlayStation than the Dreamcast still today. So more people bought it back then, and more people are still voting for it now. So, dude,
I have something to say too. Like, I feel like, you guys bring up age a lot, but I think a big thing that also needs to be discussed is impact. So, like, I mean, personally for me, I know I'm not big on the Dreamcast, but PS2 is still being able to, like, keep up its name like so many years later. I don't hear the other one being talked about as much. And I think that's a big conversation too. Like, maybe, yeah, it was really big when it came out, and I don't know. Personally, I don't know which one was better, but I do know that PS2 has still been able to keep a very, very good rep even all these years later. So I don't know if that should also be, part of the conversation, but I think it's something that should be looked at, and it does show.
It's part of it, but it's kind of biased because Sony is still part of the conversation. You still have PlayStation 5.
But why are they still part of the conversation,
PS3.
French?
Oh my God.
Because
Yeah.
when Sony came out, the same way Nintendo monopolized in the 80s and just took over, Sony did that. Sony was the new,
Because they were
thing.
better.
Sony was the new hot thing, and it was cool to have it. However, when PS2 came out, it was riding off of the PS1, and there was nothing coming out. Like, nobody was like, I don't want the. Of course, all of us were growing into the age where we were like, all right, we want the more RPGs, adult type, teen type games. So we didn't want the kiddie stuff that we're used to on Nintendo. So that's when PS2 really took off. And again, parents were like, let me get with the kid once. And then they're like, oh, I can get a DVD player. My parents exclusively bought mine. I didn't ask for it. They bought it because they were going to have a DVD player in the house.
The launch day for the PlayStation 2 was insane. If you go back and watch any of those videos on launch day of people lining up for days to get the PlayStation 2, I'm telling you, dude.
We were like actually there though. Like,
I know you keep bringing up the age thing, bro, but you're only a couple years older than me, dude. Like, I had all these consoles, and your argument was these were bought for kids. Well, I was that kid playing these games.
I was 14 years old, and you were 8.
Okay, what does that mean? I was 8. I couldn't play Ratchet.
I would
first of all,
8-year-old to the corner store to get your money, get something for you, or you gonna send a 14-year-old?
What does that have to do with me liking Ratchet and Clank, dude, or Mario?
Everything.
Like, no, it doesn't.
Everything.
No, it doesn't. So a 14-year-old has a better opinion on that Ratchet and Clank is good or not, or Sly Cooper? The game was geared.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no, they don't. The game was geared towards me, not you. You're in high school. You're supposed to be playing rated T for teen games. Your opinion shouldn't matter. It's the age demographic. It's geared towards me and getting mommy and daddy to buy me the game, not you. You're in high school, dog. Play NBA, play 2K, play Madden, play Metal Gear. Ratchet's
on Dreamcast.
You weren't playing Metal. You weren't playing Metal Gear on Dreamcast.
All right, I wasn't playing Metal Gear at all, to be honest with you. Let's move on to the 7th generation, guys. We got Microsoft. This is probably going to get heated too. Jesus. Microsoft Xbox 360, PS3, and the Nintendo Wii. And let's, for context, let's talk numbers. I like talking numbers now. Let's talk numbers.
Yeah.
We'll start with Rec. I'm going to do some research with some numbers.
Okay.
Just we like numbers around here.
My favorite console from that generation was the Wii, then the 360, then the PS3.
Man,
since you know me so well, and you're
lying.
I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I'm not lying.
Let me find
I swear to God.
I probably wouldn't argue.
The Wii was my first console from that generation. Then I got my Halo Xbox 360 edition, and then PS3. Like, the PS3 was the weakest. The PS3, and I've said this numerous times on my own channel, that the PS3 has the weakest library out of any Sony console to ever come out. It just did. The 6-axis controller was dog water. It just wasn't great. The DualShock 3 or whatever it was that came out after was far better than the 6-axis. The 360 revolutionized online games, and Nintendo had Zelda. Like, bro, I'm sorry, Glenn, that your console manufacturer doesn't make consoles anymore. I get it, buddy. Like, and you're not even part of the conversation anymore in the 7th gen. Don't worry, Xbox took care of all your franchises for you because Sega couldn't do it. But what I'm going to tell you is I had the Wii first. I loved the Wii. I still play the Wii. And not only that, I'm not just basing off when it was released. I use it because it's one of the greatest consoles ever to mod. It just... What? What?
No modding.
No, you asked me my opinion of a console. That's my opinion. I mod the shit out of it. And it's a great console. And the library it had was really good. It's not just all shovelware. And me and you have had this conversation that the Wii is a great console. And I've always said it was a great console.
No clue about the Wii. None.
So we've always had this conversation where the Wii was one of my favorites. The 360 is up there. It's a great console. PS3 was the weakest in that generation. And if the PlayStation 3 hadn't had come out with a slim rendition of the console, it would have definitely lost to the 360 because the 360 was leading the entire time the fat version was out. And then they decided to trim the fat, come out with a slim model, and that's how they caught up in sales. Since Glenn doesn't think I know my history of games, because I was there,
Let's go to AK. She's twiddling her fingers.
Yeah, I was just doing some research while you guys are talking. Okay, so I think my first one, the best, is definitely the Nintendo Wii. Like, I think that console was revolutionary. They did a lot of great things. They got everybody up and moving, including my grandma. So it did what it needed to do, 100%. My number 2 is PS3. My number 3 is Xbox 360. But definitely, I think PS3 over Xbox solely for the games. They came out with some of my favorite games that I still love to this day. Like the God of War 3. I really like God of War 3. The Last of Us, that's when that started. Uncharted, I'm pretty sure came out on PC. But mainly just for the games. I do really like Xbox 360 though. I like all of them. I think that was a pretty good generation, in my opinion.
Good. That's good. That's a good list. I like that. BlakRanger.
For me, I'm gonna flip it. For me, PS3, Wii, Xbox 360, and I'm always gonna say whenever I do a list, Microsoft is always gonna be at the bottom because I never buy Microsoft consoles. I mean, I have a 360 now, but I'm pretty sure if I turn it on, it probably has the red ring of death, like they always do.
All of them
but
do.
Nothing dies quicker than a Microsoft product. But for me, like I did a lot. I played the hell out of Uncharted and a bunch of stuff on the PS3. However, like to this day, I play more Wii now because the Wii I was able to play GameCube now, and the games are just fun. Like it was literally family's coming over. Let's break out Wii Sports. Let's break out Mario Kart. Let's break out this and that. So the fun you could have on the Wii was just crazy. Like this is the generation where power doesn't matter because the Wii is the the least powered out of all of them, but could definitely have s ton of fun. And I'm not really hating on the 360. I have one now. I do enjoy some of the stuff that I play on it, but my friends were more Sony, so everybody had the PS3 back then. I only had one friend whose parents bought him everything, so he had both of them, and now he's a Xbox guy, so I don't respect him anyway. So I'm just kidding, but yeah, that's PS3, Wii, 360.
All right. So my list, and I'm trying to take an effect of the timing, right? I don't want because to me, your list will change from launch in the middle of its time and now.
Yeah.
Your list will shift. So at that time, it was 360. That was when I got back into gaming. I was an adult, just had my first kid, and I got a 360. So I'm playing GTA, playing online. That was that was when I started playing online heavy. And I had 360 first. But I'm going to put PS3 next to that because at that time, starting to work, it really depends on who you're around too. 9 times out of 10 now, most people base when they buy something, especially if they're online players, I'll put that in perspective. They're buying based on what their friends have. Like, it's a little different now because you got cross-platform play, right? Which I've been shooting for years. But at the time, I was doing 360. Then I started working with guys that was on PlayStation. Oh, PlayStation free to play online. I'm like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. I might save $60. But not only just because of that, was because I'm playing Call of Duty and stuff like that online. So I was started playing more PlayStation. So honestly, I could swap either one of those in the place of each other. Now, as far as if we look at impact, Wii is number one when it comes to impact by far, right? Because of everything that it created. It pretty much birthed the idea of the Switch, the beginning parts of it in terms of Joy-Con and motion controls and stuff like that. But back then, I don't know. Like, honestly, I can't choose between PS3 and 360. They can swap either way. Either way, we would be third for me.
I look at like the 360 and the PS3 as like they had a lot of the same games, right? Like not every game, obviously, right? Because Xbox had its Halos and
and Gears of War was
it was huge. Yeah, Gears of War was massive, especially online play Gears of War, dude. Like big time. But then PlayStation had Last of Us and stuff, and they had great games too. I think the biggest downfall, because I still have my fat PS3. The biggest problem with the PlayStation was the fact that like they got really cocky after the PS2 era, after 6th gen, and when they were releasing the PS3, they were going to make an all-in-one entertainment system that would dominate the living room, right? Or what they thought. So they came out with this whole new architecture, this whole new chipset that had never been done before. So the console itself, the software, everything about the console was very hard to program for. So games didn't run as good as they did on the 360 or shit, even in some cases the Wii, because it was such a weird architecture that was created only for this console. Whereas like the 360 was running on an operating system like Windows, which is very easy to program for, which is very easy to make games for, which is why, and I'll give a pointer for the Dreamcast. Dreamcast was running on Windows. It was running on Windows CE. So
right.
The operating system was easy to program Dreamcast games for, which is probably why the games ran so well on Dreamcast and why they ran so well on the original Xbox, because the operating system does make a world of difference for these games and how they perform. So, like, the PS3 was great. I loved it. I played a lot of it. Like, me and my brother, we're 10 years apart, but we had to share consoles, right? So, like, I was in high school and he was young. So, like, I don't remember. I was 15, he was 5. But my brother was gaming. Like, because I was his older brother, he wanted to do what I was doing. Well, for Christmas, we had gotten the 360 and the fat PS3. So, we would share, like, this week, I want the 360 in my room. You get the PS3 in your room. Whoever was playing whatever game at the time. And so, yeah, I played my fair share of both, but the 360 did online play better, even though, yes, you had to pay for it. Like, do you remember when Sony had to, like, shut down their online services because they got hacked and everybody's information got stolen and they were down for months? Like, that was not good on Sony's part. Like, everybody's info got leaked. People were getting their identity stolen, credit card numbers stolen. It was kind of wild. And everybody's like, that's what you get for playing on a free service. Like, you should have went with Xbox Live. So Xbox had a lot of great games. The Red Ring of Death killed them, though, on their launch. When they had the Red Ring of Death on the original consoles, they would have sold so much better, dude, if they didn't do that. A lot of people saw that and deterred away from the console and went PS3 or Wii. I mean...
So what I'm looking at now as far as sales on Wikipedia, PS3 only outsold 360 by like 2.5 million. Because PS3 had their issues with their consoles as well. Now, the biggest thing with that was money too. Remember when PS3 came out? That was like $600.
It was $600. Way too expensive.
So that played a role.
Oh, big role. You can get a 360. I think 360 was like $400 or something, like $399.
You can get an arcade one, I think, for
$299. I think, right? Or
yeah.
And then PS3 was like $599, and back then. That's why the Neo Geo didn't sell well, like, because it's too expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, they were they were. I know you giving them crap about how Sony got cocky, but they were on to something. That was innovative too. Think about what the original Fat PS3 was, man.
Oh yeah.
Backwards compatible with everything. Blu-ray player, which Xbox didn't have. So they were on to something.
Yeah,
Right?
that was a battle in itself that people forget, like, because Blu-ray was brand new. That was Sony's thing, was Blu-ray, right? And then Microsoft is like HD DVDs, the red boxes versus the blue boxes, and it's like, which one's gonna win? And like, honestly, Blu-rays were better, but like the HD DVD players, I still laugh when I still see those being sold in game stores or at flea markets and stuff. It's like, the handful of HD DVDs that you'll be able to actually find, but that was a battle all in itself, aside from like consoles. Like, that was like, which movie platform is better,
Yeah.
Yep, it definitely was.
And I'll say this. I remember I had bought a 360. I was in the military, bought a 360 on base, and I think I had whatever games came with it, and I played it a lot for like 2.5 weeks, and I literally traded with some little kid for a Wii. The Wii that I currently still have. I traded my Xbox 364 back then, not because of anything, just because I wanted to be able to play Wii Sports and that stuff at home with my family. And then somehow ended up buying like three Wiis after that for everybody in my family but myself. So I still have this stolen Wii because that little kid stole this from somebody. I'm 100% sure that he stole this Wii from somebody, and I traded him for it. But I just want to give a hand clap to RectWizard. We give him a lot of trash for his opinion of the Dreamcast, mainly just that. But when it comes to these type of subject, this is a very knowledgeable person, and it's not just games. He's just a smart guy. But fuck you, Rec.
Thank you.
I appreciate your thoroughness and your.
Look,
and your
I like giving people crap about the Dreamcast, right? I had a Dreamcast. Me and my bio dad, like on visitation, like we would play it. Again, he was the one who bought me the Jaguar because I already had the other ones at my mom's. He was the one who bought me my Dreamcast because I had the other ones at my mom's. So like, I do like the Dreamcast. It is the best console for fighting games, hands down. There's no question about it. I do love the controller a lot. But I just like giving people crap, you guys. Like, I'm not like, seriously, like, I don't hate the Dreamcast.
No, and that's what pisses me off about you.
I just like firing people up. Good morning.
Yeah, that's my man. So I know that these debates get very heated. And like I said, like somebody said earlier in the chat, Rec loves to kick the hornet's nest. Like,
I do.
Then he's crying when his ass is stung.
Because it gets the conversation going, and it's all in good fun. I don't mean any harm by it,
Yeah.
I just like to put Sega fans in their place sometimes, I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
If you guys haven't noticed, Rec likes to get the podcast and the chat fired up, and AK kind of like calms us down because she's definitely the calm, cool one, and be like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but let's go to the next.
Well, usually I had the same opinions though as Rec. Most of the time, I feel like we have the same opinions.
See, because we're on the same page.
So he just argues for me, and I just let it happen. I'm like, okay.
But then she's like my voice of reason that brings me back to earth. Like all right, guys. Okay, let me ask you this. From this generation, we didn't actually do this for the other generations. We should have gone through it real quick. Favorite PS3, Wii, and 360 game, just like really quick off cuff, like one you really liked.
Kaiser. Oh man, him.
I mean, for me, definitely for PS3 was Uncharted. I loved.
Yeah.
I really love all.
It's like
that whole series is so fun.
You know what's funny, dude? I've never played an Uncharted game, but I want to because like everybody's always said it's like a modern day Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
I never thought about it like that. I always just looked at it. I was like, it's like the male version
of Tomb Raider. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. That's how I looked at it. But people have said it's kind of like Indiana Jones meets Tomb Raider. Like.
Yeah, it was definitely fun.
I'm trying to think. For the Wii, I got to, you know what, you guys are going to laugh because it was on the GameCube, but I got to give it to Twilight Princess. The first time I ever beat Twilight Princess was on the Wii because I didn't own a GameCube at launch. I didn't get my first GameCube till 2010. Get this, dude. I got my GameCube in 2010 off of Craigslist. I met this lady, this younger girl, at a apartment building. She sold me I still have it to this day, my purple GameCube with an OEM controller with Pokemon Gale of Darkness, Melee, like all the staples for $30. like, dude.
Sheesh.
Yeah, Pokemon Coliseum, like all of them, like her whole stack of games, $30, dude. Like, but this was 2010, right? Like games weren't, nobody was collecting GameCube in 2010. But yeah, I got to give it to Twilight Princess. I beat it on the Wii. PS3, I know it's a multi-plat, but Oblivion. I played the hell out of Oblivion Elder Scrolls on PS3. I'll be right back, guys. The guys are here to pick up the chairs from the party. I got to let them in.
All right. So go ahead, AK. You got it.
Oh, I was gonna say I could say mine really quick. I think for Nintendo, I have a couple, and this is just purely nostalgia, but it'd have to be Just Dance and Pac-Man Party. I
Okay.
really like Pac-Man Party. I know it's probably like a knockoff to Mario Party, but we played it a lot. PS3 would have to be The Last of Us, and then Xbox 360. I wasn't too big on, but I do remember playing a lot of Halo.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good list. And I'll probably agree with you with PS3 because I was trying to think like uh what I played a lot on there. I actually didn't play Last of Us until PS4, the remaster, but
Oh yeah.
this was there. I got to give it to that. Game I liked on 360. I can't remember if it was on PS3. I think it was a multi-plat. Metal Gear Rising was really good on 360. I just remember playing that probably like a couple years ago, and I thought that was really good. As far as the Wii, and I haven't played a lot of it. And obviously, I need to, but Tatsunoko versus Capcom is really, really good on that. That was to me that was to this day very slept on fighting game, and it's really, really good. The Naruto games are good on there. There's quite a bit, but if I could just pick one, I'll just say that one just for the sake of conversation. I'm trying to think of something different, something exclusive to it versus just something that's multi-plat. So yeah, we'll leave it there. But I mean, I guess you could. That was a difficult situation, generation because you really could swap out all three consoles depending on what we're talking about, depending on what perspective you put it in. Talk about impact or how much fun, and all these things played a role. You know what I'm saying? Because I honestly, like I said, I could put PS3 or 360 in the same spot from back then. I'm always looking at it from that time frame, and I literally probably
Yeah.
spent the same amount of time on each. I remember getting my PS3. I got my PS3 off Craigslist because my buddies were playing it, and they were playing Call of Duty. That's why I got really big into Call of Duty. So I went got that, start playing that, and I remember what was it? Was it World War II or Black? Might have been Black Ops 2 had to been. I forgot what was Advanced Wars. Whatever one was coming out between Black Ops and the other one, whatever that other one was. I think it was Advanced Wars. But I remember that one was getting ready to come out in like a week, and my kids were young at the time. And one of my kids put coins in the disk drive. And I was like, yo, Call of Duty, I was hot, bro. Like that was
That's crazy.
I was playing every day, so I was tight. So I actually shout out to Power Gamer. They used to be around, and I had to take it to Power Gamer, and they was able to clean it out, get it fixed in time. So shout out to them. So I definitely remember that time. That was an awesome time. Like I said, I could have just said, all right, I'm playing on my 360, but I I played with everybody else. When I'm playing online, it really just depends on who had what. I mean, now that's gone too. I mean, that's not always for the worst reasons because I did feel like at this point a lot of stuff is preference because there isn't a lot of separation between them.
Where are we
But
at?
like now, you get Call of Duty. We still on
7th gen?
seventh generation.
Something
Yeah. So even now, everybody like certain games is cross-platform. It don't even matter what you plan on. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I think certain games should be cross-platform, yes, but I still would like to. I want to be able to get these different consoles for different reasons.
Yeah.
Because at this point, if I had to choose, I mean, Nintendo's just in its lane by itself, which is why they get the most respect from me. But when it comes to PS5 and Xbox, now it's not even in for the past 2 generations, it hasn't even been a thought to me. I would get PlayStation over it without thinking
Yeah.
because Xbox to me doesn't have an identity anymore.
No.
They don't have Gears of War and Halo. That's it.
And they don't even,
what was the new one?
they have Fable coming and they have Forza. That's about it, dude. But honestly, like they it sucks because I'm like a big Xbox fan, but honestly, dude, like PS5 is the way I would go because Xbox, it's at this point with them not really having any like exclusives, you're just buying like a cheaper gaming PC, really, is what you're buying. Like there's no identity other than it's just basically a desktop computer, right, that you plug into a TV. Like that's all an Xbox is now. So
it's unfortunate because everybody got their picks, but as gamers, I think we do like to have the option.
Yeah.
And I do, that was kind of the reasoning of the topic of this episode was the console wars. It's not for the beef. It was more so just for the fact that you can go over this console, you play something different. That's why I said it's a no-brainer for me with PlayStation because they do have Last of Us, God of War, what's the game I'm thinking of?
Horizon.
What's the Days Gone?
Ratchet and Clank.
Stuff like that. I think even Spider-Man now is
Spider-Man.
So it's like me being
ones.
a Nintendo fan and everything in here being Nintendo, like I feel like I still got to get the PlayStation console because I want to play those games. You know what I'm saying? And that was the reasoning for it. Ratchet and Clank in the chat. Absolutely. Like those things are games that I enjoy playing and it gives me a reason to buy them. And that's normal. That's what it used to be. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I like Nintendo will always sell because like Mario is the GOAT. Or Zelda. You're not playing that nowhere else.
Yeah.
And that's why I wish everybody held on to their IPs. And I'm gonna start. I was gonna say this for hot take, but I'm gonna throw this out there. Do you think it was a mistake on Microsoft's part to not make Call of Duty exclusive when they had the chance?
No, I think
No, I don't think it was.
I think here's the thing. I feel like they would have lost a lot of money. Yeah, I feel because if you're making it exclusive to your platform, then all of the Nintendo and PlayStation and PC players like get alienated.
Well, Nintendo's been alienated because we ain't had Call of Duty since fucking what?
Well, yeah, but supposedly it's coming back to the next Nintendo console. Supposedly, I don't know how true that is, but
that would be fire. I did hear that. That would be fire.
But yeah, I think that there are so many players, like millions and millions of people that play Call of Duty on a PlayStation console that if they alienated them, I really don't think, because PlayStation fans are set in their ways in a lot of ways. Like, if they ride for PlayStation, they're going to ride for PlayStation. And if you take Call of Duty away from them, that doesn't mean they're going to get up and go and buy an Xbox. They're just going to be like, screw you, Xbox. I'll play Battlefield. Like I'll play something else.
That's the beauty of it. To me, I wish they would have to keep them in the mix. That I felt like that's a big enough franchise where they would be able to leverage. All right, if you do want to play Call of Duty, you gotta get one of these. But that would have also forced PlayStation, like, all right, because to me, they should have options. They have franchises they can revive. Bring back SOCOM. Let's make it.
SOCOM was
like
great.
It used to be. You know what I'm saying? Put your money behind SOCOM. Bring that back. All right, y'all got Call of Duty. We got SOCOM. Now we got the option. Like Battlefield came somewhat of an option, but for that first person shooter, online, nonstop action, 10, 20 people in the room, game, like Killzone. That's another one.
Yeah.
Like they had options where, all right, Call of Duty's big, but you know what? And I'm not talking about it from the perspective of like business, like they can make money from PlayStation, but I kind of feel like that's why Xbox is where they are now. But in terms of gaming, they turned to more of a business. So I do respect Sony for still having their heart in gaming.
Yes.
Because if they didn't, they could do the same thing. Think about any of these companies. They could just put their games anywhere.
Yeah. Now
to me, it's no love in that.
I think that, well, I mean, the biggest reason why Call of Duty is still on PlayStation is because that was part of the deal that Microsoft had to make. It was probably a short list, Glenn. Don't worry about it, buddy. You can rewrite it. I'm messing with you, Glenn. I'm messing with you, buddy. I'm messing with. Oh man.
I'm kind of glad you weren't on here either. You might gotta go back and play. Then next week he will come with some fire for Rec. I'm telling you.
But part of the deal was with this whole acquisition of Activision Blizzard going through was that they made the deal with Sony that, hey, you could still have Call of Duty for 10 years or whatever, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I'm mad at Microsoft because when I saw that they bought Bethesda, that they bought Activision Blizzard with all the companies under Activision Blizzard, I was like, this is Microsoft's chance to catch up to Sony. Not necessarily pass them, but to catch up at least, right? They have all this access to all of these exclusive, amazing IPs with Activision Blizzard and with Bethesda. And it's like Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Call of Duty, like there's so many. World of Warcraft even, because it's now because all of these top tier MMOs like Final Fantasy 14, Elder Scrolls Online, Black Desert, like a lot of these games are on console now. You can play MMOs on consoles, like, you know, pretty like easily now. I was expecting like World of Warcraft was going to come to console and be on the Xbox, you know, like, and revitalize and give the access to millions of people that had never played World of Warcraft because they were console players, right? Because like if Final Fantasy 14 can be on console, World of Warcraft can be on console, right? And so I thought like, man, this is Xbox chance with Activision Blizzard and Bethesda to really dominate. Like Crash Bandicoot, like there's so many, like Spyro the Dragon, like so many. Dude, they own Rare. When's the last time we saw a Banjo-Kazooie or a Conquer game? 360? Like, what are they doing? Like, it makes me so angry because the Xbox One was one of the worst consoles ever. I stood in line for 12 hours for that garbage with that stupid Kinect.
Like, I will say I'm sorry, but not really. hope your legs turn to noodles.
I brought a camping chair and a blanket.
Yeah, that was why I thought it was just it sucked. I wish they had have done that because that's what I thought they were doing. Like, I wasn't a fan of them like buying all of that, but at least buying some things to kind of bring them back into the conversation. I thought that would have been a good idea.
They would have lost a lot of money though. Like, if I'm not saying like buy up these big studios and then make everything exclusive, because they still got to make money, right? And have games on other platforms for people to play. But they had access to so many good ones that they could have picked a couple to make an Xbox exclusive, just a couple, something, anything. And they didn't.
Shout out to Unloaded for that comment. Real quick, I didn't mean to cut you off. So I watch several podcasts through the week, but I have to say I enjoy myself the most when I tune into you guys. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that.
Oh, thanks, dude. That's awesome.
But yeah, just to kind of make it a little bit, bring them back into the fold where between PlayStation and Xbox, you were identifiable.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're unidentifiable in the bad way. Because like I said, like when I was going through my collection and I was getting rid of all my Sony Xbox, I held on Sony stuff. I didn't hang on to anything Xbox, and it wasn't even a thought. I ain't bad eye. See you later. Like, especially if I was going through games, if I had them on multiple, nope, I'd rather play it on PlayStation. It was not even a thought.
Yeah.
You know, just because I just felt like, I mean, for multiple reasons too. They really pissed me off with the Series X. They pissed me off because they were. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I almost feel like they're just like chasing money because I feel like they're just not creative anymore. I feel like they're just trying to like take shortcuts to get money. Just like with the like them going to the Fire Stick and stuff like that. I mean, I think they're just trying to get more people to buy into their
Game Pass.
Yeah, the Game Pass. I think that's what they're doing, and I think that's why they bought Call of Duty as well, because it's a big powerhouse that a lot of people continue to buy year after year after year. And that's why I don't think they will ever make it exclusive, because they know people from almost every console will tune in to buy Call of Duty no matter what. There's
Yes.
some crazy people, you know.
Yeah.
It's
So,
the thing.
Yeah.
The thing is like you know, like AK was saying, they're throwing anything at the wall to see what sticks because they know that if they don't pull the numbers they need to pull for Game Pass and make the money they need to make, that Phil Spencer said by 2026 it's going under. Like we're Game Pass is done. Like if we don't get enough subscribers and make the money, and we keep losing money, it's done. Like I don't know if it's still true, but that's what he said. And so like they're trying anything. We're gonna put freaking. Dude, Mr. Rightway was playing it on his Tesla. Like they're putting Game Pass on everything. Like honestly, like just to see what sticks.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If their gaming department had to just focus on making their stuff better,
yes,
and creating different game franchises to make people want to play, you wouldn't have had a problem.
Yes,
but they've had problems with their hardware from out the gate.
Yeah,
that they just seem to never fix. Xbox controllers are garbage. They are all bad. They're great to play with, but they don't last in terms of quality.
And
something always wrong with those controllers.
And why are we still using batteries? Like I'm so like, why can we not charge the damn thing? Like I know you can buy a rechargeable pack, but why is it not like a PS5 controller or a Joy-Con where we could just charge the damn things out of the box?
Yeah, it's dumb stuff like that, and just the quality of them. The quality of them. As much as when I had my Series X, I didn't even play it that much. I did play a lot of Call of Duty on it because I had that Ultimate Game Pass thing that came with it. Like the controllers, literally something would go wrong. You get the joystick drift. It was always something wrong with those controllers. But if they had a focus on that, now they're like, well, we're just playing Xbox everywhere. Like you didn't have to go to that route in order to bring yourself back. If you had bought those franchises like you did, shout out to Bethesda. That's Bethesda, Maryland, in case people don't know. If they had kept those franchises for them, maybe not monopolizing buy all the ones like they did, but a few like Rex said, where you got to come over to Xbox to play it. Hell yeah, that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, like I'm not saying like don't make like the Call of Duties exclusive because those are massive, but like it wouldn't hurt them to seriously take a look at like Fallout and Elder Scrolls and make those exclusive to Xbox, like and PC.
I mean, in their own right, they're huge too. Maybe not as big as Call of Duty, but I think it would have did some good though. It would have put the fire on the PlayStation. Like, because we need to bring something back to make it competitive.
Well, dude, look at Nintendo and look at PlayStation. PlayStation alone has God of War. Kratos is like the face of PlayStation. You have Mario over at Nintendo.
Crash Bandicoot. That's crazy.
Dude. When I think of old school PlayStation, I think of Crash, Spyro, and Lara Croft. Like those are the three that I instantly in all the ads. In all the ads and magazines and commercials, like it was Lara Croft, Spyro, and Crash. Like those were the people, or even like what's his name? Twisted Metal.
I forgot his name.
The clown. The clown. But I feel like if they would have taken Sackboy too, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely one.
If they would have took because like they have God of War, they have the Uncharted series, they have The Last of Us. Like, why can't Microsoft make the next Skyrim, exclusive, or the next Fallout 5 exclusive? Like,
you know why? Because they chasing money.
That's exactly it. And then you know what that means? Nobody's going to buy their hardware because why would I buy it when I could get a PlayStation 5 or a Switch, get all of your Xbox games, plus all of the PlayStation and Nintendo exclusives? Because at this point, all you need is a PS5 and a Switch. Like, you don't need an Xbox right now. You just don't. Like, what, Halo Infinite? Laugh. Like, fucking joke. Garbage. There ain't been a Gears in forever. Forza, okay, whatever. Forza, cool. Who cares? And then... what, you got the next Fable coming out, which I'm excited about until I saw the trailer and the characters look ugly as hell. Like, I'm a huge Fable fan since the original Xbox. It's one of my favorite RPG franchises of all time. The new one, man, doesn't look great. So Xbox, you're letting me down, dude. I love my PS5 and I love my Switch though. I love those consoles.
That's like, yeah. So let's move on. I think
we got two more generations. That's it.
For the sake of time because we definitely running, but it's been some great conversation, so I'm not mad. 8th generation. Wii U, and it's funny how they did this, and y'all can agree or disagree. We can move it around if we have to. But Wii U, PS4, Xbox One, and they put Nintendo Switch in here.
It is 8th gen for sure. It's
Yeah,
not. It's
because
not
it's funny.
9th gen.
A reason why I said it because it's Wii U and the Switch are there. But yes,
A lot
Rightfully so.
of people will put the Switch with like PS5 and but there are like
yeah, but it was out for so long before what
2017.
17. Yeah, so it was 3 years before the PS5
Yeah.
dropped. So
Yeah, it's an 8th gen
Yeah,
console for sure. This next Switch will be 9th gen with PS5 and Xbox Series X.
yeah, so Rec, you want to start off?
Yeah, I mean, if we are putting the Switch in this generation, Switch number 1, hands down, no questions asked. Then the PS4 is a very close second. The Wii U, and then we're not even going to talk about the Xbox One and the pile of dog crap that was. Yeah, so for sure, Switch, one of the best consoles of all time. It's in my top 5 favorite consoles of all time. PS4 is up there for me. I love the PS4, the library of games. The controller is one of the greatest controllers ever. I just love the PS4. It's so good. And Xbox One was so bad. It was so bad. It was terrible. Don Matrix really destroyed that brand, and I got to applaud Phil Spencer for trying to bring it back, but I think the damage has been done. And the Wii U is underrated and doesn't get enough love, and that's Nintendo's fault for the poor marketing. Like everybody thought the Wii U was just literally an upgraded tablet for your Wii console. Like nobody knew what the Wii U really was, but it had a lot of amazing games. The tablet was a cool innovation, and at the same time, the Wii U walked so the Switch could run. So
Yeah.
I got to give love where it's due. I have a modded Wii U right here with all the games on it, and I love playing some of those bangers like that were on the Wii U, dude. Like you still can't get Wind Waker or Twilight Princess HD on Switch. So I love the Wii U. Wii U is a great console. Zombie U, by the way, hidden gem, guys. Like I know I'm not Metal Jesus, and I know the game won't shoot up in price, but hidden gem on the Wii U, Zombie U. Zombie U utilizes that tablet the best out of any Wii U game I've ever played. It was so good. If you like survival horror games with zombies, Wii U is a banger. It's so good, and it's hella cheap. It's like $10. Great game.
Another slept on game is Devil's Third. Just so you know.
Yeah, it does look pretty good.
AK, what you got?
Yeah, so my number 1 would be Switch, just because of the innovation that is brought. PS4, it's my probably one of my favorite consoles is the PS4, just strictly for games, and nostalgia, I guess. Number 3, Wii U, because also I really like the innovation with that as well. And then 4, Xbox One, because yeah, it was kind of boring for me. So yeah.
On to you, French.
Oh man, I almost shed a tear when you said your list at first, Rec. But same exact list. PS4.
For a good reason though, like, or was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for good reason. Switch, PS4, Wii U, then Xbox. Like I said, Xbox probably gonna be less for me, mainly because I always own them after they come out. But I mean, Switch, there's nothing to debate about that. It's so fun. It's great, innovative.
Yeah.
PS4 was, I think that was not one of the first ones I bought myself, but that was one of the ones that I bought myself. I had a lot of fun. Like I love my PS4 still. And like you said, Wii U was very, very slept on, and a lot of people don't think about it, but the Wii U was pretty much just like a home console version of the DS. That's how they try to utilize the 2 screens on the DS.
Yeah.
With some slight differences, but I'm so glad you said Zombie U, because I was actually going to bring that up during our conversation last week. When I got my Wii U, I got the Zombie U version, so I had the big collector's edition box and everything, and I played that game so much. Every difficulty level, I went through and beat it. I 100%ed it on each one. It was.
Dude,
that's a super slept on game.
You know what feature is one of my favorites for that game is that if you die and you like start as a new character and you're running back, your old character will be there as a zombie and you can get your stuff back. Like that was kind of cool, dude. Like I loved that. And
that
it
that
felt
game.
good. It just felt good when you played it. And I love like when you're looking through your backpack, right? Like you're literally like you have to look down at the screen. The screen is your inventory. That was cool. And so like, but the thing is up on the TV screen, it shows just your character rummaging through their bag, and zombies can still attack you. So like you're looking down at your bag, but you're also like looking up at the screen like, am I gonna get eaten? Like, dude, it was cool, dude.
It was great. It was one of those things like, all right, yeah, I definitely gotta keep checking back and forth because that was one of the first, not one of the first ones, but I think the best ones at doing that. Like, the game's still playing. Just because I'm looking at inventory doesn't mean nothing else going on. Now it's
Yeah.
still going. It's just like real life. And
Yeah.
the good thing is it's not a very long game, but it's not super short either. Like you could definitely do it in one sitting if you're not really paying attention to how long you're playing. But like I had a lot of fun on that game. And then there's just there are great titles on the Wii U that people sleep on. It's a small library, but there's some great stuff on there. And then, Microsoft just they had already shot themselves in the foot once, and now they just double shot. It's a double barrel to the foot.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick question in the chat. Do you recommend getting a Wii U right now?
If you mod it.
Oh,
If you mod it, it's a great modding console. It's like the Wii, but better. Like you can put the whole Wii library on there, GameCube, Super Nintendo, plus all the Wii U games. Like I love my modded Wii U. Unless you're a physical collector, I mean, by all means, go buy the games physically. Like for sure. Like I'm not gonna knock that either because they got great games. But like if you're gonna buy a Wii U in 2024, like you should at least look into it and consider modding it. I think it's a great console to have. It really is.
yeah. I prefer physical, not modding any type of.
Sorry,
Nintendo
not
games
everybody can
whatsoever.
not everybody can afford a $400 Devil's Third. Just putting out there that modding and emulation is an option. Big baller.
No, not for big baller reasons. We'll go into detail, but my list obviously Switch is number one. It's, to me, the best console of all time so far. PS4 and Xbox. I think pretty much everybody's was the same. Actually, I forgot. Wii U's obviously before Xbox.
Yeah.
Like by far, Wii U was definitely slept on. Yeah, Glenn said that in the chat because they definitely have great games. I just think that some people just they weren't ready for that type of innovation at the time. That's the only thing I could think of. Sometimes like they just not ready for. If anything's a little more different than what the norm is, I think people kind of is. It kind of I don't want to do all that. I just want to play the game type of thing. So I just think that that's the main thing with that. But yeah, by far that's where I put my list at.
Honestly, dude,
Mm-hmm.
if they would have named it anything else other than Wii U so that people knew it was a different thing and they marketed it better, it could have done pretty well, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But Solo there in the chat said any game for the Wii U. I do have a complete set. What I would get off the bat, Super Mario 3D. I think it's 3D Land on that one. I always get them mixed up. 3D Land or 3D World.
It's 3D World.
I would get 3D World for sure. And I'm not going to name any expensive games. I'm not going to throw those out because there's still plenty that you can play. Breath of the Wild is really, really good on the Wii U. Really, really good on the Wii U. I mean, obviously you can get it on the Switch, but it's good on the Wii U as well. Tekken Tag Tournament is fantastic on there. People don't talk about that. Pokken Tournament, banger, straight banger. That's a great game. Mario Golf, Mario Tennis is good on there. Try not to be biased with all those, but there's the Call of Duty games are different, but they're good. A couple Sonic games. Those are some more affordable games that you can get.
A really good one.
Of course, Mario Kart 8 too, because that's where it started.
The thing that sucks, Solar, is the fact that like there's so many great games on the Wii U, but a lot of those great games were ported to Switch. So like you could just, if you have a Switch, you can get like a definitive version. There is one game though off the top of my head that though there's two that have not been ported to Switch yet that I would highly recommend, and that would be Twilight Princess HD and Yoshi's Woolly World. Fantastic game that is not on Switch, which surprised me because Crafted World on Switch isn't as good as Woolly World, but still both good games. But I would say Twilight Princess and Woolly World and Zombie U. Like those would be my 3.
All right, guys. Last but not did we go through? Yeah, everybody went. Last but not least, 9th generation, which is the current generation, Microsoft Series X and S, and Sony PS5. BlakRanger.
I own none of these systems. None. But
Okay.
I
Next,
play PS5 the most. I'll say that. PS5 for me.
Okay. AK, I know the answer.
100% PS5.
Okay.
I don't even think it's a competition.
I'm pretty sure everybody's is the same, but go ahead, Rhett.
Yeah.
All right, so for this generation, I'm gonna go with the Sega Dreamcast. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
In terms of innovation, it's right on time, actually. So good answer. Ooh, hot take in the comments. Oh my God.
Glenn
Edwards, sir.
Glenn.
I told you to take time out.
Glenn.
Time out.
Glenn, give me 3 good reasons why the Series X is better than the PS5.
Post them in the chat. If you can.
Yeah, let me hear how it's a more powerful, faster system by a millisecond because of the M.2 SSD drives, or let me hear about Game Pass, which I can get on PC, and how it has no exclusives. And I bought the Series X first, and I'm a Xbox fanboy, and I'm gonna tell you, you're wrong. Anyway, PS5.
I like this.
PS5.
I agree with that statement.
They haven't. That's very well. I guess in the grand scheme of things, but I always said when I did my initial review of PS5, like 2 weeks after launch, I did feel like playing certain games that people were saying because I didn't have PS4 Pro, but I saw the initial jump from PS4 to PS5. I felt like I saw it with Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I thought it was just beautiful, but overall now, 4 years in, no, they haven't. They really haven't. And it's unfortunate.
Oh, we're getting
that both consoles are, neither have really truly shown what they can do.
Honestly, bro.
Late. It's getting late in life.
Well, bro, we're getting to a point with technology where these game consoles are just cheap gaming PCs. That's what they are. Like a PS5 and a Series X is literally a gaming PC that strictly uses a controller, and you hook it up to your TV. Like it literally, and it has a couple exclusive games that you can't get on PC.
You got your answers there, Rec.
Backwards compatibility with what? The 60 original Xbox games out of the 800 that are in the library, or the 360 games that people aren't buying and playing anymore anyways, unless you're a retro collector. Game Pass I can get on PC. Game Pass I can get on my refrigerator. And Horizon, okay, cool, you got me with one. But I can play Gran Turismo on my PS5. Next.
Yeah, I'll disagree with that because the backwards compatibility thing, that is the thing that put the nail in the coffin for me. It pissed me
and it's not
off.
even real backwards compatibility, dude. It's literally you can only put in the discs that they have digital versions for that you can still buy. Like, it's not true backwards compatibility. I can't take any OG Xbox game off my shelf or any 360 game off my shelf, put it in my Series X, and it plays. It has to be licensed and sold on their digital store because all that disc is it's an unlock code. It's not running off the actual disc. So that backwards compatibility thing, like, I can make the same argument with PlayStation. PlayStation has, PS5 has backwards compatibility. I can play my entire PS4 library.
All of it.
Every one off the disc. Every one.
And improved slightly. Slight improvements.
RectWizard
and I completely agree on the topic.
And
this is monumental.
And the load time. See, Glenn, I thought me and you saw eye to eye, like when you said the Wii U was slept on, because I was like, man, Glenn, that's something we could agree with. But then you turn around, and you pull out the backwards compatibility and the Horizon. It's like, okay, dude, you got a racing game, that's cool, But I mean, dude. Like, let's be honest.
I think what he's saying is in terms of what he's actually played. I mean, that's fair.
No, dude, I'm just going to say, like, Horizon and God of War alone trump any exclusive on the Xbox. Like, because they don't have any, dude. Halo Infinite is dog water. Like, it just is. Halo is bad. Gears is gone. Fable's been gone since the 360, and Horizon, who cares? They release a racing game every year. That's like me saying, like, oh, they got Madden. They got Madden. They got 2K. Like, bro, that's every year they do that. Like, I'm not impressed. It's a racing game they release every year. Like, okay, cool.
Not doing the 7th gen. You can say that for 3
Uh-oh.
kids. Let me leave that alone. Like, oh, look at my boy in the chat. Curtis!
Yo, Kurt, what's up, dude?
Gears
We're
is my soul.
we're pissing people off in chat. No, Curtis, I love Gears as well, but we're just saying that like Halo or Xbox has lost their gusto, man. Like Halo Infinite's dog crap because like ever since 343 took it over, right? It's crap. And then Gears has been absent for a long time now. Like, where's our next Gears game? And let's be honest, Gears hasn't been good since the original trilogy. Like, I'm just saying.
I don't know. It was good on Xbox One. I did enjoy it. I did. I'm not going to front on it. I won't do that.
But, man, I'm most upset about Fable. Like, I haven't had a Fable game since Fable 3 on the 360. And we're 2 generations later, and we're just now getting one at some point, I guess.
And I agree with Glenn there. My PS5 library is.
Mine is too.
I do have a nice PS4 library that I did
I do
not
too.
get rid of. Everything else is gone though.
Dude,
I have a few left. I went down to East Arland yesterday and traded like 100 games in.
Well, are we going to do a quick little pickup segment speaking of PS4 library?
Yeah, we could do that. I should have hit you up, Glenn. Glenn lives a couple minutes from
Cuz like I still go out of my way. Just 3 things, nothing crazy this week. So I did the little promo for the Borderlands movie when they reached out, and yeah, I heard the movie's bad. I've never really played I heard it's bad. I'm still gonna watch it, like, because I like video game movies and I try to give everything a chance. But I've never really played the Borderlands games. I played very, very little of 2 back on the 360 days. So I'm actually genuinely interested because it looks like a good franchise. So I went on eBay and I found someone selling all 3 games for the PS4. So the first game, which is the Game of the Year edition, so it's like a remastered of the first game that was on PS3 and 360. Then we got the Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, which comes with Borderlands 2 and the prequel, or the pre-sequel, the Borderlands, the pre-sequel, HD texture pack, because it's, it's not on 360, it's on PS4.
I knew it was going to...
What happened?
Oh, you froze, and I knew it was gonna make Marcus.
Oh, dude, yeah. Okay, yeah, my connection dropped for a second. It's good now. No, we're good now. Okay, so yeah, I got the second game remastered for PS4, and we got the third game. So I literally got all 3 of these games, the whole collection, for $15 on eBay. With like $5 shipping. So I paid like $20 for all 3, and I'm excited to actually play them on my PS5. I'm going to put them in my PS5 and play them.
All right. So Kurt says Xbox introduced the Game Pass PC. Yeah. I think I agree with that one.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, like at the end of the day, the big picture here is Windows, right? Like Microsoft owns Windows, so like the fact that Game Pass is on every Windows machine in the country or in the world, like that was a money move for them that just made more sense. They're like, if you asked, I don't know, Bill Gates and was like, hey, do you want Game Pass only on Xbox or only on PC? He's going to say PC because the majority of the world's computers run on Windows. Like, they're going to make more money on a computer, not 10 times out of 10 over an Xbox console.
All right. Anybody else got any pickups for this week?
I have a couple.
Okay.
Mountain Dew.
I have I have Call of Duty Ghosts for PS3.
Nice.
And then I have Hitman, which is one of my favorite games. I love Hitman.
That's another good one.
Yeah, I love Hitman.
Yeah, those are both good.
My favorite is Hitman Blood Money. That's my favorite Hitman game of all time. I love that game so much.
Okay, I'm trying to think if I did get some pickups. I don't think I did. So
yeah, nothing. A little light on the pickups this week, but still something.
Yeah. Well, all right. We have far surpassed our mark of where we were going to go, but it was a great episode, great conversation today. Thank you to the chat for staying engaged.
Thank you, Glenn.
Shout out my boy Glenn, man. Glenn's a gamer, big Sega guy.
He should be
Chris,
on one day with the
yeah,
opinion.
Glenn,
Man, oh,
extending that opportunity to you, and you and Rec can go head to head.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Glenn. It's
He
all
said,
hey
man.
Glenn, it's all in good fun, buddy. No, we're happy to have you all here. We love that you guys talk and chat and engage and argue with me, and like I love it, man. It's all in good fun. We're all gamers. We all love what we love, and I'm not gonna fault anybody for that. So like it's all fun for me. So I hope you guys don't take me to heart and take me seriously, because I just like messing with people.
It's funny because people seem to only argue with you.
I know.
So
I know.
I'm going to work on developing a segment revolving around you. Well, we're going to let the chat just go in because we already know. Like, I'm almost glad to make Hot Take your segment.
Yeah. I love it.
Like, people need their time to, what I'm saying, use Rec as a punching bag because he absolutely deserves it.
No, I'm all for it. Like, let's.
There it is. There it is. Rec with Rec. We're gonna be starting that on next week's episode
Wrecked,
of the podcast.
Wrecked with Wrecked, and
we might have to do it. We'll discuss it because BlakRanger and I will be guests at Retro World Expo. Shout out to Curtis will be there.
Yeah,
myself, Mort, BlakRanger, Phoenix Resale. Shout out to Pixel Game Squad. Shout out to Lance and Chris. So we'll figure that out. But yeah, for sure, we're going to be starting that segment where everybody's going to give their hot take on something RectWizard spewed out of his mouth on one of these episodes. I'm telling you, it is definitely a conversation starter. He definitely lights these comments up for sure.
Yeah, I'm all for coming up each week with like a very unpopular opinion in gaming. And just like letting you guys rip me for it, because there's a lot, dude, that I have that like most gamers are like, what is wrong with you? Like, I hate Mega Man, people hate me for that. Like, I hate Contra, people hate me for that. Like, Sonic is dog shit. I'm sorry, dog water. So like honestly, like people like I got a lot, guys, like in the chamber, ready to fire off at everybody. I'm ready. I'm gonna get shirts made. Like, Wrecked with Wrecked, like and then on the back it'll say upcoming retro podcast. Like, that's my segment where like I just piss the world off, and I love it.
Yeah.
Usually I don't get mad, but the Sonic one got me a little bit. I was like, side eye with that.
It's as the pillows are on my couch. My kids love Sonic, so
yeah, I love Sonic.
My daughter loves the movies and the games.
Trust me, you could be the nicest person in the world, which I believe AkayGames is, but Rec is going to get under your skin. Somehow he's going to creep and crawl.
I'm going to find one.
He's going to find that nerve.
I'm going to find one. Here's my goal, you guys. I love doing the podcast. These three have become friends of mine. I love their opinions and I love working with them. My goal, when this is all said and done, is to get AK on stream to say fuck you to me one time. That is my goal. Once I do that, I'm done. I can retire.
I think it almost happened.
I'm a getter. Just say something about Jack and Daxter. I'm a getter. No.
That might get you. That might get you swung on too.
Oh man, she'll be making a flight out to California just to whip my ass. No.
What did you say?
What was that you said? All right, BlakRanger, what you got coming up in life and for your channel, bro?
In life, as Marcus said, we will be at Retro World Expo this coming weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun hosting a panel there and everything. So make sure you guys, if you're going,
panel Sunday at 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Let us know so we can all get together. Just coming up, I'm actually picking up the other shelf for my N64 games. Should be today or tomorrow for my parents' house. It's another one of these, so I actually fill it in. I don't even have the games that I picked up from SoCal on the shelf yet. They're literally on my pool table right now. So I'll be able to fill that in. I'm about to start going through the library, and I do have an episode coming up. Finally, I've been taking a lot of breaks, but there will be a episode coming up of will I ever finish the N64 journey? So that's going to be interesting. We're going to see what the progress is. And yeah, just look me up, BlakRanger, on all socials, no C, and come enjoy the blurred life.
All right. AkGames, what about you?
Yeah. So I have a Star Wars Outlaws Before You Buy coming up. I'm also starting this short series, I guess you could say, called AK's Archives, where I'm just gonna be going through the games I have and
I love it.
every console. So yeah, I'm starting that up, and I might be doing a live stream this week of Gamescom, but I'm not positive. But stay
Okay.
tuned because I want to start, live streaming. When they have announcements and stuff like that, just chat with everybody. So
Yeah,
look,
that's dope.
yeah, look forward to that. But yeah,
Yep.
Nice.
Make sure you guys subscribe to her channel as well, guys. Please. Mr. Rec.
I still have, like I said it last week, I just didn't get a chance to really work on much because of my daughter's birthday party that was yesterday. It was a lot of planning. I've been working a lot of crazy hours, but I do have a couple PlayStation 2 Pursuit videos in my head that I want to film. And also a couple other things that I have in mind as far as maybe coming back to live streaming on a regular. But I haven't decided yet. I'm dealing with some family stuff right now, so we'll figure that out. But yeah, stay tuned. I might film my PS2 video today or tomorrow, so that'll be out this week.
All right. And as for myself, I will be at Retro World. I'm super excited. I can't wait to get there. We're getting there Thursday. I love traveling, and then especially traveling to do like my favorite thing. It's always the best thing in the world. And honestly, I gotta thank the chat and thank my co-hosts because a lot of time, like if only y'all knew what I go through personally, and you see me on here, you would have no idea. Like you probably wouldn't even be able to put two and two together. Like how is he? Maybe certain moments, but this is definitely an outlet for me, truly. Gaming in its entirety. So I just want to thank y'all, my co-hosts, the chat, for just being supportive and keeping things, you know, keeping it a happy place for me, if I could, for lack of better words. But we definitely got some episodes. I may do a Switch episode this week and go into Quest DS, new series, going after the complete Nintendo DS set. I may go into that after Retro World because I kind of want to make sure I have things laid out. I'm obviously going to do a vlog for Retro World, which is coming one of my most popular videos. It's actually one of my funner videos to do as well. And obviously BlakRanger will be all through that as well because
Pause.
super pause. He'll be there with me. So either way, but just want to thank y'all. Make sure you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see y'all next Sunday.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.